Hello, welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. 3 TOEFL, Chapter 14. Capture and Rescue. Hey there readers, I was planning to upload this chapter tomorrow, but after school, I was bored, so I just decided to finish it today. Oh, and if you could please leave a review, this chapter has a scene that's an important plot point, I just want to have your feedback on it. Other than that, enjoy and have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Fugolian. Leopold exclaimed, watching his brother's near-lifeless body, he turned to Valtos. You bastard. Flame creation magic. Inferno lion. He exclaimed as a large lion appeared, charging towards the spatial mage. I understand your anger, but I am not the one you want, Valtos calmly said as he formed a portal, quickly disappearing in it and reappearing close by, letting the fiery beast crash into a nearby building. Kenos, come with me, we need to stop his bleeding. Noelle instructed as Kenos stopped glowing. The two of them ran to Fugolian. Noelle tore a piece of her clothing and wrapped it around his shoulder to staunch the blood flow. The solar mage put his hands on the captain's back and cast his recovery spell. Noelle looked at his cracking grimoire. A grimoire disappears when its master dies. Since it's only cracking, that means he's still alive. Kenos smiled. That's great, he said before turning to Valtos. And what do you mean you're not the one he wants? I may have teleported him, but another mage was responsible for cutting off his arm, the mage replied. It doesn't matter who exactly did it, you're all responsible. Asta exclaimed, charging at Valtos. Stay back, Valtos calmly stated as purple balls of space appeared around them before racing towards the swordsman. What the? He muttered before using the side of his sword to protect himself. Raids quickly picked up his grimoire and ran towards Valtos. Thanks for the save, I'm starting to run low on magic after using all those zombies. You don't need to worry, replenish your strength. After all, Valtos began before two portals appeared, and from them emerged a group of mages, all wearing matching white cloaks with the eye design on the front of them, hoods covering their faces. Quote. We're not alone. Crap, he said there were more of them, but I didn't expect 10. Let's just hope they're weak, Zuka said, not noticing one of the hooded mages was staring at her. No, Leopold muttered, a shadow covering his face. I can't avenge my brother by taking down weaklings, I want to find the one who cut his arm off. Asta's grimoire came in front of him as he drew his second sword. I know how you feel, but we have to worry about the obstacle in front of us. Kenos, Noelle, take care of Captain Fugolian, Leopold, Zuka, I trust that you have my back, are you all ready? Yes, they all replied. In another part of the capital, within a building, was a group of people, they were all dressed in white, the usual color of a chef's attire. In the center of the group was a man who, unlike the rest, was wearing a hat with an outline of red going around it. Please, head chef, the capital is under attack, we must retreat to safety, one of the chefs pleaded. Never, I'm almost done, my greatest culinary masterpiece. The head chef exclaimed as he added spices to the mysterious dish before lifting it into the air with both hands. It's complete. That's great and all, sir, so let us go, another chef said. Nonsense, someone has to try this masterpiece, the head replied, turning to the others. Which one of you will have some? Sorry, sir. Normally I would, but right now, I'm too scared to eat, the first chef said, the others nodding. Well, it's no use if I eat it, I must get someone else's perspective on it, the head said. I'll do it, a voice exclaimed. The chefs turned to see a cloud of cotton floated towards them before a girl dropped out of it. She was small and wore a magic knight's robe. My name is Charmy Papitson, I wish to try your masterpiece. The head chef was pleased. Ah, a magic knight, and a brave one at that, he handed the plate to her. Tell me what you think. Charmy set it on a table and began munching away. This is great, especially the addition of the spices, it elevates the overall flavor, truly a masterpiece. She exclaimed happily. Meanwhile, not too far from the building, a lady stood at the top of the roof. She had long and curly blonde hair, wore a black dress with a furry skirt as well as a black hat with a furry brim. She looked down at the people below. They had gone into a panic after a majority of the magic knights suddenly disappeared. The lady grinned. It seems that Valtos was right. Once those pesky magic knights disappeared, they'd fall into a panic. They really are like sheep, she said before taking out her broom and flying above the crowd. They're all quite young over here, but none of the guys are really my type, but I bet they're full of mana. She raised her hands into the air as her grimoire came to her. Give it to me, Ash Curse Magic, Ash Absorbing Formation. She exclaimed as purple streams came from her fingers, engulfing the people below. They soon began to rapidly age and fall to the ground. Ah yes, give me all of your youthful mana, and die, she said before she noticed a large gust of wind from the corner of her eye. Her spell stopped midway, but the people still remained old. Who was that? The lady wondered before turning to see Yuno. Oh, who do we have here? I don't know what you're doing, but I won't let you hurt these people, Yuno said. You're a magic knight, of course you can't, but I must say, you are quite the looker, she remarked. Belle flew out in front of him. You stay away from my Yuno. The spirit exclaimed. Oh, Yuno. That's a nice name. My name is Catherine. You're a handsome young man. We don't have to fight. Why don't come over here so we can chat? Catherine suggested, putting one hand on her cheek and moving her body in a seductive manner. The wind mage opened his mouth to utter a response to Catherine's risque implication, but it widened the eyes of both her and Belle, unable to believe what he just said. Sorry, but I'm not into old ladies. Oh, old ladies, Catherine stuttered, unable to believe someone called her old, her seductive face quickly changing to one of rage. You know what? Screw chatting. I think I'd rather just kill you. Someone who can't see my divine beauty doesn't deserve to live. Okay. It seems I was wrong. You're both old and crazy. Yuno fired, only enraging the ash mage more. Wind creation magic. Wind blade shower. At his declaration, the blades of wind appeared and raced towards their beautiful target. Not a bad spell, but I'm not that slow, Catherine stated as she dodged them. My turn. Ash curse magic. Cheerful ash destruction. She exclaimed as purple spheres appeared before being fired off at a frightening speed. Yuno flew around and dodged as many of the spheres as he could, but one had managed to hit, and as it hit, he noticed his sight begin to blur. What just happened? That's the power of my cheerful ash destruction. When they hit you, it slowly begins to deteriorate your external senses. If you get hit enough, you won't be able to see, hear, smell, taste, or feel, Catherine explained. Then all I have to do is defeat you before you can do that, Yuno stated before launching an arc of wind at her. The attack made contact and she was pushed back a few feet before recovering. Impressive. Why don't I try my attack again? She said, launching another round of her sense-deteriorating spheres, but these were moving even faster than the last ones. Shit, Yuno mumbled as he decided to fly away instead of dodging them, but to his surprise, the spheres were following him. Did that move of mine surprise you? Catherine said with a short giggle. I'll let you in on something. The first set of bullets were my easy ones, slow and evadable, but when I'm serious, their speed is ridiculous and it follows you by tracking your mana. What? That first set was supposed to be slow. The wind mage thought. He turned around and saw the spheres still behind him. He shot a barrage of wind sickles, cutting spheres apart, but they did not stop two from bypassing his attacking and hitting him straight in the chest. Darn it, my sight just got worse, and I think it's affecting my hearing too, Yuno muttered. Catherine flew to him. I'm not done with you yet, Yuno. Ash creation magic. Ash witch's crow. She exclaimed as a blackish-purple crow appeared and flew toward the wind mage, flapping its wings, releasing a flurry of jagged black feathers. That won't beat me. Wind magic. Towering tornado. Yuno exclaimed in retaliation as he summoned the large tornado, drawing in the feathers and shooting them in the opposite direction. The tornado then made its way towards Catherine. The ash mage skillfully maneuvered around the large tornado. I think I'm done playing with you. Whatever attack I send, you can launch a counterattack. I have to make sure that you can't fight back. Ash curse magic. Cheerful ash destruction. She exclaimed as the spheres came once again. I can't let those hit me. My sight and hearing have already taken a sizable toll from just 3 of them, Yuno said to himself as he tried to fly away. As expected, the spheres followed him, but unlike last time, Yuno focused solely on getting away from them, knowing a confrontation would result in him getting hit by a few. You're deciding to go on the defensive. Clever, but you aren't the first opponent I've faced who has tried that. Catherine exclaimed as she raised her hand. Suddenly, a sphere formed in front of Yuno. What the hell? The wind mage asked in confusion as he crashed right into the sphere, causing him to slow down. Unfortunately, that decrease in speed had given the other spheres to catch up to him. He slowly began falling. Yuno! Yuno! Belle screamed, trying to prevent the mage from falling. Damn it! Yuno muttered as he dropped to the ground. He could feel his senses start to fail him. His sight and hearing had nearly been screwed. He could hardly feel his arms and legs. This is the end of you, Magic Knight, Catherine said as she landed and dismounted from her broom, walking to the mage. Belle flew in front of him. Stay back. I may be small, but I'm still a spirit. I have enough strength to blow you away, she began saying, ready to attack, but the woman dashed to her and flicked her to the ground. Ow. We can't have you getting in the way. Now can we? The ash mage hummed as she walked to Yuno and knelt down next to him, holding his chin. You're finished, Yuno. There's nothing you can do to stop me from killing you, but I'll tell you what, if you admit you were wrong, and that I'm the most beautiful person you've ever laid your eyes on, I'll make your death as painless as I can. Yuno struggled to open his eyes. Me, tell you that you're the most beautiful person either. Yes, that's right, so hurry up, she replied. I'm nearly blind. Telling you you're beautiful wouldn't make any sense, but then again, a man who's nearly blind is the best shot you have at hearing those words, he said. Catherine's face went red with anger. Okay then, you've decided your fate, suffer the worst death possible. She exclaimed, ready to strike, but was interrupted by a large gust of wind that blew her back. What? She was surprised to see Belle fly towards Yuno. The spirit turned to face the mage. I'm a spirit. That flick isn't enough to keep me down for long. I won't let you lay a single finger on my beloved Yuno, you bitch. Yuno got up. Hey, Belle. Yes, Yuno. The spirit asked. Yuno gave his spirit companion a warm smile. Thanks for the save. Belle blushed. Oh, Yuno. That's it. When this is all over, we're going out on a date. Don't push it too far. I just said thanks, he replied. The blush quickly disappeared as she pulled on his cheek. That's the first time you've ever smiled at me. Stop leading me on. You may have prolonged his life for a few more minutes, but he's still going to die. Catherine screamed. That's not happening, Yuno said as he flew up into the air. Belle. Yeah, my senses are dull right now. We need to finish her off right away. Please lend your power, he replied. Okay then, I've got your back, she said. Yuno then closed his eyes. His external senses have been greatly compromised, but one sense Catherine's spheres couldn't affect was his mana sense. Ever since he was a boy, he had an extraordinary talent at detecting mana. As his eyes were closed, he couldn't see a thing, he could hardly hear a thing, but he felt it, the mana. He could feel his own mana, he could feel Catherine's mana as she quickly approached him, and he could feel Belle's mana, increasing at an exponential rate. I'm all ready, he heard Belle exclaim. Okay. I hope this works, Yuno said as he raised his hand towards where he felt Catherine's mana. This fight is over, old lady, wind spirit magic, Sylph's breath. He exclaimed as a massive bullet made out of wind appeared, charging towards the ash mage. Damn you, she exclaimed as the attack made contact and hurled her towards the wall of a faraway building, destroying it and falling inside. That hurt, she said in pain as purple streams began to leave her fingers, heading outside and finding the old people who had their mana taken, returning them to their original age. Why do I feel so weak? Catherine muttered to herself as she felt her face and gasped. Her skin was wrinkly and her hair was gray. I've returned to my original age. The mana I absorbed earlier must have been released. I need to find more mana to take to maintain my youth. Ah, it's an old lady. A voice exclaimed from behind her. Catherine turned to see a young girl. Next to her was a group of men wearing white. Mana, the old lady muttered as she got up and weakly limped to the girl. No, get away, Miss Charmy. A man yelled. Don't worry, head chef. I got this, Charmy replied as she got up and stood in front of the table. I don't know who you are, but you stay away from my food, old lady. Don't call me old. I'm beautiful, I am. Just let me take your mana, Catherine said. Mana, you want both my food and my mana. Well, I'm not letting you have either. Charmy exclaimed. Then you're going to regret it, the ash mage said. No, you're going to regret it, Charmy said in a more hostile tone as she breathed heavily and somehow began growing to the height of an average teenager, her grimoire coming up to her and flipping through pages. Stay away from me, and stay away from my food, cotton creation magic, strike of the sleeping sheep. At her declaration, a large sheep appeared in front of the glutton. The sheep's eyes glowed white with mercilessness, steam coming out of its mouth as it exhaled, as if it was sleeping, but regardless, it swiftly moved towards its target and launched a powerful punch at Catherine, violently shooting her into a wall, falling into unconsciousness. The chefs watched in amazement as the cotton mage shrunk down to her usual height. Let that be a reminder to you, never even try to touch my food. Wow, she's incredible, one of the chefs muttered. What do you expect? She's a magic knight, the head chef said. Now, I can enjoy the rest of my meal, Charmy said cheerfully as she picked up her plate and began walking, but her foot slid on some debris, causing her to lose her balance and drop her plate of food right out of the newly made hole in the wall. No, my food. To her surprise, her food stopped right where it was, not falling down, as if something was keeping it up. It then elevated, revealing it to be in Yuno's hand. Ah, I think those ash spells are starting to wear off. My senses are slowly getting better, he said before turning to Charmy. Excuse me, miss, is this yours? Charmy was mesmerized. Her food had been saved, but there was another thought that crossed her mind. Wow, he's super handsome, like a kind of prince, a meal-saving prince. She thought. Yes, that's mine. Yuno handed it back as he turned to see Catherine. That's odd, she shouldn't have landed there from my attack. Charmy swallowed the bite she had taken. Oh, was that you who shot her here? She got back up and said she wanted my mana and food, so I kicked her ass, she explained. You must be pretty strong, Yuno said before noticing something. Oh, you're a black bull, that's the same squad, he said before trailing off, feeling his strength suddenly leave him, slowly falling to the ground. The fight with Catherine had drained him more than he thought. With all the attacks he took along with the threat to his life and the previous fight with the zombies, his body was full of adrenaline, but now, as he has calmed down, his fatigue had taken over. Prince! Charmy exclaimed, forming a cushion of cotton as Yuno fell onto her, and then the cushion, the mage blushed. He's so close, she thought. You. No, Belle said, flying through the hole in the wall. She was weak too after using up so much mana for that spell. After finding her companion, she fainted right onto his shoulder, not even noticing Charmy. The enemy known as Catherine has been defeated, the mage and the spirit could finally rest. As the wind mage rested, his rival was hard at work. Just go down already, Asta exclaimed as he jumped in the air, ready to strike one of the mages with his swords. Nice try, the mage in question said back as he fired wind, sending the swordsman back. Zuka watched as Asta landed on the ground. I got you. Oh no you don't, one of the other mages said as she launched a spark-type attack at her. Reflexes took over and Zuka dodged the attack, but her eyes widened. Your voice, and that magic, it's you. The mage snickered and removed her hood, revealing herself as the spark mage, Annalise. I'm honored that you remembered me, Zuka. The sparkle mage's face showed annoyance at the use of her name by an enemy she knew little about. Yeah, I remember you. I also remember how Oliver, Shauna, and I kicked your ass back in Starum. It was 3 against 1. If you ask me, that's nothing to brag about, but this time, you're the one who's outnumbered. Getting my revenge on you will be fun. Spark magic. Ground sparks. She exclaimed as she punched the ground, sending the 10 trails of sparks towards Zuka. To Annalise's surprise, Zuka grinned. I'm not the same as I was a week ago. I've picked up a few tricks, like this one, sparkle creation magic, glittering barrier. She exclaimed as she formed the defense spell, not permitting the sparks to travel any further once they made contact. So, you have defensive magic now, big deal, we're still going to beat you, Annalise said. I wouldn't be so sure about that, flame magic, spiral flame. Leopold exclaimed as he fired the fiery tornadoes right at the spark mage. I'm going to make every single one of you pay for what happened to my brother, you're all going to be sorry. Annalise didn't look worried as the spell quickly approached her. Wrong, I did say we outnumbered you, there's no way that will ever happen, she said as another hooded mage came in front of her and blasted a water spell, clashing with the flame spell before eventually extinguishing it. Damn it, the magic knight muttered. Don't get distracted, a mage exclaimed from behind Leopold as he fired wind needles at him. I won't let you, Asta exclaimed as he intercepted the attack and sent the right back to its origin, launching the mage a few yards away before hitting the ground. Thanks, Asta, Leopold said gratefully. The swordsman grinned. No problem, after all, you are my rival. Awesome, was the flame mage's only response. One of the hooded mages looked intently at Asta. Under the hood, it appeared to be a girl, and she wore red glasses. That kid with the swords is pretty interesting, but I'm not sensing a lot of mana from him, or any for that matter, I must experiment on him. Raids turned his head to look at her. Are experiments the only things that are on your mind, Sally? The girl called Sally took off her hood, revealing her short black hair, and a facial expression that can only be read as sadistic enthusiasm. Of course, what's the point in life if there are no experiments, no things to wonder about and find out, everything just feels so bleak. The Wraith Mage sighed. You know, I'll never get you. Just you wait Annalise, I'm going to get you, sparkle reinforcement magic, rampage force. Zuka exclaimed as the glittering aura encased her and she ran towards her target. That's not going to work, I believe you remember my flickering detonation spell, Annalise said, ready to cast the spell, but stopped as an arm was put in front of her. She turned to the person it belonged to. Voltos. You mustn't forget, Annalise, while we do have the advantage, you can't be reckless. Flickering detonation is a strong spell, but it's indiscriminate, it will injure whoever is in its range, including our allies. That would work in any other circumstance, but not this one, he explained. She puts her hands down. My apologies, Voltos. There's no need to, we have an alternative to take care of her, the spatial mage said as 5 other mages all set their sights on Zuka, firing an array of attacks at her. Let's see that barrier spell of yours help you now. I doubt it can work while you're moving, Annalise said. You're right, I can't use it while I'm moving, but I said I picked up a few tricks, which means that I learned more than one thing. Behold, sparkle magic, dance of the fluttering fairy. Zuka exclaimed as a light encased her feet. She then began skillfully dodging each attack that came her way while moving closer to them, as if she was dancing. I really owe Shauna one for helping me learn 2 spells in just 1 week. Oh, come on, are you fucking kidding me? Annalise muttered before noticing that Zuka was approaching her quickly. Damn it, spark magic, flickering melee. She exclaimed ready to strike, and as Zuka got near, she launched a punch, but the sparkle quickly evaded it. Thanks to my rampage force combined with dance of the fluttering fairy, I can dodge attacks and approach my opponents at great speed, as well as land a good hit and get away before they can counterattack. Zuka exclaimed as she punched Annalise dead in the face, quickly maneuvering back to where she was. Annalise fell to the ground, but quickly got up, wiping off the dirt on her face. Lucky shot. As the three magic knights were fighting, Noelle and Keno stayed in the back to care for the captain of the Crimson Lion Kings. Okay. He's stopped bleeding, Noelle said. And his heartbeat is starting to return to normal, Keno said as he removed his hands, causing the glow to vanish. Noelle turned to look at Fugolian's grimoire. It had stopped cracking, and the parts that did crack began reforming. She breathed a sigh of relief. He's going to be okay. That's good, I better get out there, Keno said as he got up. Just wait for a minute, Kenos. You were just fighting a little while ago, then you began healing Fugolian. Are you sure you should be fighting right now? Noelle asked. I don't know, but I do know that I can't stand here. They're already outnumbered. They need all the help they can get, he replied as he put his ring on and activated, mentally noting that only 3 green outlines were remaining. Stay here with Fugolian, and if you can, please have our back. Noelle sighed. All right, but you know something, she began. You really act a lot like Asta sometimes. Keno smiled as he looked at the swordsman. I'll take that as a compliment, he said before running towards the action. Valtos, even though we have the advantage, I say we get out of here. We already got what we wanted, Raids suggested. No way, Sally protested. I want to get that swordsman for my experiments. And I want to get just one hit on Sparkles, Annalise added. I don't care, Raids said in response. We can't leave yet, Raids, Valtos replied. Not without Catherine. I told her to stay with us, but she didn't want to listen. Not my, Raids began saying before being interrupted by the declaration of a spell. Solar creation magic. Rain of solar daggers. Kenos exclaimed as the daggers fell, causing the enemy to jump back. He ran to the other 3. Hey there, Fugolian is doing all right, his heartbeat has returned to normal. Leopold sighed a breath of relief. That's good to hear, thanks a lot Kenos, and to Noelle as well. No problem. Now, what do you say we take all of these jokers down, right here, and right now? The solar mage asked. The others grinned. Zuka was the first to speak up. We were already doing that, but I wouldn't mind doing it some more. Sparkle creation magic. Shimmering bow. She said before creating the bow and firing off a shot. I'll join you. Solar magic. Sunbeam ray. Kenos added, firing the beam. Counterattack. Valtos instructed as 3 mages each fired off an attack spell, defeating the 2 spells sent by the magic knights. All right, my turn, Annalise exclaimed as she sprinted towards them and jumped into the air, her grimoire flipping to a page. Valtos said that my spell could hurt the others, but now that they're behind me and the enemy is together, I don't have to hold back. Spark magic. Twin flickering detonation. I won't let you hurt my friends. Water creation magic. Sea dragon's lair. Noelle exclaimed, raising her wand into the air as the barrier formed, defending them from the explosion. Damn it, my spark magic isn't good against water, Annalise said as she landed and regrouped with the others. Your magic might not work against it, but mine's will, a male mage said, stepping forward. Tree magic. Magic draining roots. He exclaimed as roots came out of his grimoire and rested on top of Noelle's spell, draining the water. Shit, Noelle muttered. That's good, keep going, everyone else, when the spell disappears, give it everything you got. Raids commanded. We need to do something, or else we're going to be sitting ducks soon, Asta said as the roots drained the last of the water. The enemy mages wasted no time in attacking. Don't worry, I can cast my defense spell, Zuka said, about to do so, but stopped as a figure blurred right past her. Leopold. I can take this one. Leopold exclaimed. Although he was relieved his brother was okay, he was still full of rage, he still wanted to make them pay. Flame magic. Flame tempest. At his declaration, fire gathered in his hands as he quickly brought them together and spread them out, releasing flames all around him, blocking all the incoming attacks. There we go, I just stopped every one of your attack, the flame mage began bragging before being interrupted as needles raced right at him and pierced through his arms, legs, and torso. Leopold. They all exclaimed as he dropped to the ground. But. How? The mage from before stepped up. You blocked all of their moves, but you didn't notice my tornado needles coming at you. You would have been fine if you used a defense spell, but as for why you didn't, I don't know. No. Damn it, Leopold said before passing out. Let's finish him. Raids exclaimed to the others, ready to strike the fallen mage. Not so fast. The sudden sound of unified voices shocked both groups of mages. They looked up in the sky and saw a silver eagle. From the eagle, people jumped down. Those people were the other magic knights. Oliver, Shauna, Zuka exclaimed as she ran to her squadmates and embraced them. Where were you two? We were teleported out of the capital along with some other magic knights. We weren't sure how to get back at first, but we decided to work together to create a compound spell in order to get here really fast, Shauna explained. But the color of the portal looked pretty similar to the one Valtos used, Oliver added. That's right, it was him who did it, Zuka said. I see. Well, did anything bad happen while we were gone? Shauna asked. Zuka's face changed from relief to sadness. Well, not really, you see, she was going to explain, but was cut off by a scream. Captain Fugolian. Oksana screamed frantically as she ran to his body, Noel kneeling next to him. What happened? He was teleported somewhere. When he came back, his arm was missing. Kenos and I were able to stop the bleeding and regulate his heartbeat, Noel replied. Kenos helped, she muttered, quickly glancing at her younger brother, but as she did, she noticed something else. Leo. She ran to her squadmate and helped him up. Leo, speak to me, she exclaimed. Kenos looked at his older sister. When the two of them interacted, she was nonchalant, but she was such a giddy and talkative person, seeing her frantic like this made him feel uncomfortable. Who's responsible for this? Charlotte asked. That would be us, Raids declared. You're going to pay for this. The Phantom Mage exclaimed as she walked towards them, her grimoire out. Dante looked at his little sister. Oh damn, she's mad, was all he said. I'm going to kill every single one of you right here. Phantom creation magic. Wyvern, she began but was interrupted as Nozzle put his arm in front of her. No, he said. What? She exclaimed. I don't care if you're a royal or a captain, you're not stopping me. You don't understand what I meant, he said. Oksana looked up and was taken aback by the look of silent rage in his eyes. I'm going to get the first hit, then you can go. He began walking forward. Sally smiled. Ooh, a magic knight captain. I think it's time I joined the fight, she said, taking out her grimoire. Gel magic. Sticky salamander. She exclaimed as a large salamander appeared in front of her. Nozzle raised his hand. Mercury magic. Rain of silver. He exclaimed as balls of liquid mercury appeared above the mages before falling down. Ooh, that looks powerful, but I got the perfect counter. Sally exclaimed cheerfully as she pulled out a massive syringe. Dark magic item. Special properties plus a. She punctured the salamander with the syringe and injected it with the liquid inside, letting it take in the mercury before dissolving it. Nozzle's eyes slightly widened. Oksana then stepped forward. My turn, she said, ready to cast her spell. No, I got this, I can nullify her spell. Asta exclaimed as he ran towards her. Asta. Wait, Kenos exclaimed. Asta so that's your name, then come to me, Asta. Sally exclaimed as the salamander launched its hand at Asta, knocking him out and taking him into itself, his swords returning to their grimoire as it closed and dropped to the ground. I finally got you. The gel mage exclaimed. Shit, I can't attack now, Asta might get hit, Oksana said. Alright Valtos, let's go, Sally said. But I didn't get my hit on Zuka, Annalise protested. And we still have to find Catherine, Valtos added. Valtos, listen to me, we have to go, they outnumber us now, if we don't go, we're going to get captured, Raids told him. Okay then, Valtos said as he formed a portal under them and they started to sink under. No, Asta, Noel exclaimed. Who are you people? We are the Eye of the Midnight Sun, we will bathe the Clover Kingdom in chaos and destruction. They replied together as they sunk completely into the portal. The Eye of the Midnight Sun, everyone thought. We have to find them, Noel said. We can't, we don't know where they are, Klaus said. That and we must fortify the kingdom's defenses and begin rebuilding. You're right, I just hope that Asta will be okay, Kenos said as he began walking forward. He then noticed something. Hey, that's Asta's grimoire, he must have dropped it. The solar mage picked it up and looked at its cover. Damn, this looks a lot older up close, it's not even easy to see the leaves, he said as he squinted to see where the leaves were. But once he did see them, he gasped. His eyes widened beyond belief, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. On Asta's grimoire, there were 5 black leaves. Hey, wake up, a voice exclaimed. Asta slowly opened his eyes and found himself inside the salamander, with Sally yelling at him to get up. Where am I? The swordsman asked. Like we're going to tell you, Raids replied as they entered the area through a stairway. Oh, I can't wait to perform all of my experiments on you. Sally exclaimed. No fair, why'd only you get what you wanted, Annalise pouted. Oh don't worry Anna, you'll get your chance, Sally said. Easy for you to say, and don't call me Anna, the spark mage fired. Enough bickering, what's important is that we completed the mission master gave us, Valtos said. Interesting, tell me more about this master of yours. The mages were caught completely off guard by the sound of an unfamiliar voice. They turned and saw a person they thought they never would. Julius. What is the Wizard King doing here? Raids exclaimed. I don't know, but I know where he's going, Straight to hell, Annalise said as they all took out their grimoires. Don't be like that. I only came here to talk, Julius said, disappearing. Right before reappearing between two mages, he shot them with blue orbs simultaneously, causing them to vanish somehow. What did you do to them? Raids asked with a stutter. I merely accelerated their years to the point where they're dead, Julius replied, not changing the chipper tone in his voice. You're going to pay, Annalise exclaimed. I'm going to pay. I believe the proper words are, Julius began before disappearing again, reappearing behind them. You're going to pay. Time-binding magic. Chronostasis. He exclaimed, trapping them in large orbs with clock hands revolving around them. Within them, time stopped. Incredible. So that's the power of the Wizard King. I need to get a lot stronger, Asta thought as the gel disappeared and he fell. Julius turned to see him. Oh, hello Asta, I assume you were captured. Asta got up. That's right, I did, but, he began. You were so awesome. Thank you, but I was hardly trying, he said back. That's even more awesome, but, what are you doing here? Asta asked. Well, shortly after the ceremony, when I told you I had business to take care of, I came here, the time mage explained. As for how I found it, that's a secret. Okay then, but why are you here? It has to do with this, Julius replied as he took out a beige hexagonal stone with a weird yellow mark on it. What is that? The swordsman asked. I read about it. It's called a magic stone. Its origins are unknown as far as I could find, but they possess immense magical power when used a certain way. I found it around Starum village, he responded. They then noticed something else in the center of the place, a kind of large stone tablet. What the? They both said as they said the stone tablet had different molds around, as if it was made for something in particular. Hey look, Asta pointed to a mold. That looks like it's for the stone you have. It does, but what exactly is this for? Julius wondered before a bright light suddenly flashed. The two struggled to open their eyes, but once they could, they saw a man wearing a similar cloak to the other mages, but he had white hair tied in braids behind his head. The light then faded. Who are you? Julius asked. The man didn't reply. Instead, he revealed something that he was holding, something that confused Julius at first, but shocked Asta. That's Fugolian's arm. You're the one who did it. The swordsman exclaimed. You're going to regret it. The man simply closed his eyes before opening his mouth. We will meet again, was all he said as another flash of light came, blinding the two magic knights once again. As they opened their eyes, they saw the man was gone, along with the tablet and the time-bound mages. He got away, Asta sighed. Perhaps, but he said we'd meet again. Hopefully, we'll get to learn more about who he is. For now, let's head back to the capital, Julius said. Say, did anything happen while I was gone? It's a long story. Back at the capital, the sun was close to setting. The magic knights had all gathered at the medical ward so Leopold and Fugolian could be cared for. I wish we could just know if he was all right, Noelle said. You must be really worried about him, Keno said back. Her cheeks went pink. Don't be ridiculous. I'm not worried. I just hope he doesn't do anything stupid, she said with crossed arms. Keno's looked at her strangely. It was obvious she was worried, but why didn't she admit it? There are just some things girls do that I'll never understand, he thought before a figure appeared right next to him. Holy, the solar mage began, completely startled by what happened. He turned and saw Julius, carrying Asta. Hey there everyone, I'm back, Asta said casually with a wave as Julius put him down. Asta, Klaus and Mimosa exclaimed as they ran to him, embracing him. I'm so happy you're okay. Thanks, you too, Asta said back. I'm glad you're back, but don't do something stupid like that again, Noelle said. All right, I won't, he responded. I heard you got captured, Asta. I must say, I'm disappointed, a voice said. Asta turned to see Yuno. Whatever, I made it out alive. He screamed before noticing someone right next to him. Charmy, what are you doing here? I came to the capital on my own in search of food, she replied. I got into a fight with an enemy mage, and she helped at the end, Yuno explained as Charmy's cheeks turned a light shade of pink. Keno's walked up to him. Hey Asta, you dropped your grimoire. Hey, thanks, Asta said gratefully as he took it back, not noticing the worried look on the solar mage's face. Meanwhile, Nozzle and Charlotte explained what happened to Julius. The capital was under attack, Fugolian lost his arm, and the eye of the midnight sun. Julius repeated the important things they told him. And not just that, Charlotte continued. The stone that he wore on his neck is missing. Could that be what they were after? I don't care what they were after. I'm just going to make who did it pay, Nozzle said. I know who did, Asta, and I saw the one who took Fugolian's arm, Julius said. Everyone stopped and turned to him and Asta. We don't know his name, but it was a man who wore the same attire as those Midnight Sun people. He had white braided hair tied like a ponytail. Good, I have an idea of what he looks like. If we ever meet, I'm taking him out, Oksana said. No, that honor belongs to me. Everyone turned to see Leopold coming out of a building. Leo, you're awake, but you shouldn't be moving, Oksana said. No, I can't rest now I know what the bastard looks like, he said. I'm just so mad, at them, and at myself. Oksana was taken aback. Leo, I didn't stay calm. I was reckless. I let my anger cloud my judgment and became a liability on the battlefield. My brother would be ashamed, he said before putting his thumb on his forehead before taking it off, revealing a small red diamond. I burned this promise into my forehead. I will avenge my brother, and do it while keeping my cool. Well, I'm guessing today has been a long day for you all. Why don't you head to your squad bases and get some deserved rest? I'll send stars to each of your squads tomorrow, along with something else, Julius said as they all began dispersing. Bye Noel, Asta, Mimosa and Klaus said as they left. Goodbye Charmy said. Bye Charmy, it was nice meeting you, the mage said back as he joined his squadmates. So long, Dante, Oksana said as she joined Leopold. The same to you, sister, he replied, following the Silva trio. It was nice seeing you again, Kenos, Zuka said. I sort of don't want to leave. Same here, but don't worry, you know where my squad's hideout is, you can visit anytime, the solar mage said back as they high-fived and walked away from each other. It truly had been a long day at the capital for that group of magic knights, but they would never forget this day, the experiences, the encounters, and the new threat that loomed over them. Chapter 15. Night at the Mixer. Hey there, readers, I hope you all enjoyed your Thanksgiving. Before you read the chapter, I want to ask you something important. I'm thinking about making a poll about the topic of the next chapter. There's something I'm not too sure of, so I'll let you decide, but first, I want to know, if I were to release a poll, would you participate in it? Please give a review with your answer. If there are enough responses of people saying they would, I'll release the poll soon after posting chapter 16. With that out of the way, enjoy this chapter. What am I going to do? Finral said as he stood on the roof of the hideout. It was the next day. The 4 black bulls that went to the capital had returned and told their squadmates what happened at the capital, much to their worry, but their worry quickly turned to joy when they were told they earned a decent number of stars. Take this, Luck. Finral heard Magna exclaim below. Luck was up to his usual shenanigans, much to the shaded mage's annoyance. In retaliation, he launched an array of fire pitches. You're getting a lot better at this, Kenos. He then heard Asta exclaim. Both the swordsman and the solar mage were sparring with each other, the sound of their blades clashing ringing throughout the forest. Thanks, I've been getting in a lot of practice lately. As magic knights, we're practically fighting for our lives every other week, Kenos said sarcastically. You got that right, Asta agreed. Why don't we take a break for now? All right then, he said back as he watched Asta put his large sword back in his grimoire. So, Asta's grimoire has 5 leaves just like mine. Could that be why his anti-magic doesn't nullify my solar constructs? He seemed so surprised when he saw the 5 leaves on my grimoire. Could it be he doesn't even know he has one too? But then again, it's not the easiest thing to see. The other thing that surprises me is that his leaves are black while my leaves are white. What could it all mean? Hey Kenos, everything all right? Asta asked. Kenos gave a quick smile. Yeah, I'm all right, he replied. I'll tell the others about my discovery eventually. The two turned around and saw the spatial mage standing on the roof. Hey there Finral, Asta called. Finral waved at them before forming a portal and walking into it, appearing right in front of the 2 rookies. Hey there you two, I saw you training, you're in a good mood. Well, can you blame us? We had quite the intense fight at the capital yesterday, Kenos replied. That and the fact that we've gone up the rankings. Finral smiled. Earlier that day, Yami got news from Julius that their squad had earned a sizable number of stars, as well as that, Kenos, Asta, and Noel had gone up in rank, being promoted to 3rd class junior magic knights. As for Charmy, she had been promoted to 1st class junior magic knight, but she was quite proud about it, much to Luck and Magna's annoyance. I've climbed up the hierarchy, Neil bitches. He remembered the cotton mage saying earlier to them. So Finral, what were you doing on the roof? I don't see you there very often. Asta asked. The spatial mage sighed. I was just thinking about a mixer I'm hosting tonight. Asta looked confused. What's a mixer? You don't know. Finral exclaimed with a shocked look. Don't worry, I'll explain, Kenos spoke up. You see, a mixer is where people gather at a place to eat, drink, and socialize with each other. It's usually done with people you don't know with the objective of becoming friends with them. Oh, I see, so what's your problem Finral? The swordsman asked. I know that 3 girls will be coming. As such, I need to bring 3 guys, including myself, but I don't know who to ask seeing that our squad is nearly full of weirdos. Nice weirdos, but weirdos nonetheless, he replied. Wait, you need 2 other people. Kenos asked for confirmation to which Finral nodded. Then, why don't you just take the two of us? Wait, what? Asta screamed. Hey, that could work, Finral said. Excluding me, when you gauge every male on our squad, you two are the most normal, as well as the most normal looking, it'll be perfect. So, will you come with us, Asta? Alright, I guess it can't be that bad, and besides, this could be my chance to make a new friend, he decided. Nice, I owe you 2-1, Finral said, walking away. We leave at sunset. Okay then, let's head inside, Asta, we should take a bath first, Kenos told him. Good idea, he agreed as they both walked to the door. As they did, they passed by Noelle. Hey there Noelle. Hey Asta, she said back as Asta went inside. She then saw Kenos. What was the commotion? I heard both Finral and Asta screaming. Oh, it was nothing, I was just talking about going to a mixer, he replied. A mixer? You mean that social gathering people go to make new friends? She asked. The solar mage nodded. That's the one, we'll be meeting 3 girls. 3 girls, that's nice, well enjoy yours, the water mage began before realizing something. Wait, did you say, we? She then asked. Correct, I'm going with Finral and Asta. Oh, okay then, wait you said Finral and Asta, she then asked, stuttering at the end. That's what I said, is there something wrong? Kenos replied before asking. Noelle recomposes herself. Nope, I'm perfectly fine, but, just asking out of curiosity, what time are you leaving, and what place are you going to? I don't know exactly where we're going, but Finral says we're leaving at sunset. Asta and I are just going to take a bath before we go, he replied before walking inside. Asta is going to a mixer to meet girls. No way, what if he falls for one of them? Not like I care. He's free to do what he wants, but what if? Noelle thought frantically to herself, obviously in complete denial over the feelings she has for her squadmate. Kenos saw her shaking her head and looked at her strangely. What's up with her all of a sudden? I really don't get girls sometimes, what I would give to just get an idea of what goes on in that head of hers. He thought before turning back around and heading to his room to get his towel. The hours passed by rather quickly, especially for Asta, who was still quite unsure of going to the mixer. Eventually, the sun set and the 3 magic knights were ready for their night out on the town. Alright then, Kenos, Asta, are you ready? Finral asked them. We are, they replied together. Finral turned to the rest. Okay everyone, we're off. Knock those girls' socks off. Vanessa exclaimed. And whatever you do, don't make our squad look bad. Magna added. And don't take too long, I might need Finral to teleport me to the little captain's room if I need to take a dump, Yami said. No offense Yami, but I think this is a good chance for you to walk there on your own, Finral thought. He then turned to Asta and Kenos. Let us be off. The 3 walked outside as Finral made a portal, each walking into it one by one, but none of them noticed Noelle hiding nearby. Okay, this is my chance, she whispered as she saw Finral enter the portal last. She then ran in before it disappeared. Once she arrived on the other side, her immediate objective was hiding. After she did so, she looked and saw the 3 males, standing in front of a building. Kenos looked at the establishment before noticing a sign with the place's name on it. The Dreevy Hinker, he read. Oh, I see, it's a play on words, switch the 2 letters of the second word with the first letter of the third one, and it spells out the heavy drinker. Very perceptive of you Kenos, Finral said. But wait, if this place is called the Dreevy Hinker, which is a play on heavy drinker, does that mean it's like a bar or tavern? The solar mage asked. I don't drink, am I even old enough to drink? You don't have to worry about that, I'm sure there are plenty of other things to drink. Now let's get going, we don't want to be late and make our future friends wait, Finral replied as he walked into the building, the 2 right behind him. Noelle poked her head out of her hiding spot and glared at the establishment. How am I going to get in there and monitor them without getting seen or being marked as suspicious by other people, she wondered before an idea popped into her head. I think there's a way. What a wonderful night, I'm so glad you could make it, Finral said to the 3 girls across from them. It had not taken long for them to meet up and find a table for 6, the 3 black bulls sat on one side, while the girls sat across from them. Before we begin, why don't we introduce ourselves, which one of you lovely ladies would like to start? I don't mind starting, the girl across from Finral said as she raised her hand. She had short black hair and wore a green dress with a small white and green cloth jacket on the top half of it. Hello there. My name is Erica Taylor. I run a clothes shop not too far from here. I guess it's my turn, the one across from Asta then said. She had long scarlet hair and wore a red dress with a small pink cloth jacket over the top half of it. My name is Rebecca Scarlet. I run a restaurant, she introduced with quite low enthusiasm. All right, I'm up, the girl across from Kenos said. It was clear that she was much more enthusiastic than Rebecca was. She had medium-sized dark green hair. She wore a small and frilly purple dress. It's nice to meet you all. My name is Eon Teru, a friend of Rebecca's. We both run the same restaurant. It's a pleasure to meet you, Erica, Rebecca, and Eon, the spatial mage said. I am Finral Rulacase. Please enjoy these freshly picked flowers, courtesy of my spatial magic. He introduced as a portal appeared above each girl. A bouquet of purple flowers then fell on their laps. Wow, he's actually pretty good. Now that I think about it, this is a great chance to learn some more about Finral. Despite the fact that he's really approachable, I really only know that he likes to flirt, but isn't good at it, Kenos thought to himself intently. Maybe if I see him flirting tonight, I can get more of an idea of what kind of guy he is. As Finral finished, Asta stood up, ready to introduce himself. I don't really know what to say, maybe I should just tell them my goals, he thought before pulling a sleeve back and flexing his bicep. Hi there, my name is Asta, I'm 15, and one day, I want to become the Wizard King. The Wizard King, huh? For a short guy, he dreams big, the girls thought in unison. It was then Kenos' turn. Hello, my name is Kenos Rossiu, I'm 16, and if I had to describe something about myself, it would be that there are things that I really don't know too much about myself. Rossiu. Eon spoke up. Wait, isn't that supposed to be a high-ranking noble family that's close to the Wizard King himself? Kenos scratched the back of his head. That's right, but it's not something I really like to brag about, he said. You also said there are things you don't know about yourself, like a mystery or something. How enigmatic. I like that, Eon said. Finral stood up. Now we're past the introductions, let's get to socializing, he said as waitresses came to their table, each holding 2 wooden mugs and a plate of food. Here you are, they said as they put a mug and a plate in front of each person. Kenos looked into his mug and saw the familiar golden liquid. Excuse me, but is this alcohol? He asked one of them. Yes, but don't worry Sir Magic Knight, you don't look too old, so this alcohol has been heavily diluted, she replied. Oh, that's very nice of you. Thanks, he thanked them as they simply bowed their heads and walked away. As they walked away, they passed right by Noelle, dressed in the same outfit they were. It was a good plan to get a job here temporarily so I could spy. I mean monitor Asta and the other two, she thought. One patron saw Noelle and raised his glass to her. Excuse me, waitress, can I get another refill of beer please? The water mage turned to him, her face showed comedic indifference. Get it yourself. What? He said with a hiccup. So, I just want to know, what is it like, being a magic knight? Eon asked Kenos. The solar mage held his chin in thought. Well, it is very dangerous, we've faced some serious threats, it's also a good chance to meet new people and hone your magic power, he replied. Say, what magic do you use, Eon, and do you have a grimoire too? I do have one, but I didn't bring it with me, as for my attribute, I have wind magic, she replied. Wind magic, that's cool, I know someone who uses it too, Asta cut in, thinking about Yuno. He then turned to ask Rebecca a question, but her head was turned sideways. I wonder if she's okay. I already know that magic knights fight dangerous threats, but what about you personally, especially you, Finral, Erica said. As a spatial mage, I bet you've seen some beautiful places. Finral nearly choked on his drink. Crap, most of the time, my magic is just used to take Yami to the toilet and around the kingdom for basic errands. I've maybe only been to 3 or 4 noteworthy sites, he thought. Of course, I've seen so many, I can hardly count them all, he lied. Oh, I see, well, it's bound to happen, she said. And what about you, Kenos, what kind of magic do you use? Can you use it to travel like Finral can? Eon asked again. Kenos shook his head. No, I use solar magic, no traveling, but it's still great since it covers a wide range of spell types, from creation, to binding, even to recovery. Solar magic. I've never heard of that attribute before, but it sounds so cool, and it sort of makes sense. The sun provides us with a wide range of things, from light, to heat, and a way to grow plants. I guess your magic must mirror that variety, the green-haired girl said. Kenos was both surprised and impressed. Wow, I never really thought about that, it's actually really cool when you think about it. What about you, what do you use your wind magic for? Mostly helping out at the restaurant, it has its uses when cooking, she replied, taking a sip from her mug and a bite of food from her plate. Hey, you mind if I ask something? Sure, go ahead. Eon took a deep breath. You 3 all seem really nice, but I've heard that the Black Bulls, daughter sort of a rowdy squad full of troublemakers, you're a noble and your magic sounds super interesting, were the Black Bulls the only squad that wanted you? Kenos paused, he remembered Zuka asking him a similar question during their team-up mission in Realzoo. I had other choices, but I decided to join this squad. The rumors about them are somewhat true, they are rowdy, and they can cause trouble, but they're all genuinely kind people, that I can assure you. Asta and Finral smiled at their squadmates' words. Thanks a lot, Kenos. Eon smiled. I'll take your word for it. Finral interrupted. Enough talking about us. Why don't we talk about you ladies for a moment, he said rather smoothly. Erica, you said you own a clothes shop. Do you think I can stop by to try on a new wardrobe? That sounds fun. I can already imagine something that would look great on you, she replied with a giggle. Sounds wonderful. And you, Rebecca and Eon, could I maybe stop by your restaurant for a bite to eat? The spatial mage asked again with a slight tone of flirtatiousness. At the mention of her name, Rebecca quickly turned to look at Finral before returning her head to normal. Of course you could come. Who knows, maybe we can have another mixer over there instead, it would be our treat, Eon replied. That sounds awesome. I bet your cooking is incredible, Keno said before taking a large gulp of his drink. He had to admit that for the first time drinking alcohol, it didn't taste that bad, even if it was diluted. I'll be back, I'm going to go use the bathroom. He stood up and walked away from the table, but he wasn't sure where the bathroom was exactly. He then saw a waitress with her back turned to him as she was facing another customer. The black-haired mage walked up to her and lightly tapped on her shoulder. Excuse me, miss, if you could, can you please direct me to the bath? He was going to finish, but stopped midway as the waitress turned around, revealing it to be Noelle. She too was in total shock as she looked at him. Hey Kenos, what are you doing here? She tried to ask innocently, but to little avail. This is where the mixer is, but the real question is, why are you here? You're a magic knight and a royal, so it's obvious you didn't come here looking for a job. He asked suspiciously. You see, this is just a coincidence. She tried to think of some excuse as to why she was here. To tell you the truth, I passed by here a little while back, and I saw the uniform the waitresses wore, and I thought it looked cute, so, sometimes, I come here just to put it on. Keno scanned his squadmate, looking up and down. Now he thought about it. The uniform did look pretty nice. He could understand why she would want to wear it. Well, I guess your story makes sense, but do you know where the bathroom is? Oh yeah, she replied, turning around and pointing to a spot. Go right over there and make a left, that should be where the men's room is. Okay. He thanked her as he went there and did his business, coming out only 3 minutes later. His hands were still wet, he vigorously shook them. Damn, I can't believe they ran out of towels. He arrived at the table, but saw that 2 people were gone. Hey, where did Finral and Erica go? Oh, Erica wanted Finral to take her to some beautiful sights, they just left a minute ago, Eon told him. Kenos sat down. HMPH, I guess Finral is really good at this, I wonder how does he even fail, based on what I saw. He was polite when he gave them flowers, and he didn't want to spend too much time just talking about us and gave the ladies a chance to talk about what they do for a living. All in all, the qualities of someone with a kind soul, he thought. I hope they're enjoying themselves, Asta said before looking at Rebecca again. The girl across from him had hardly said a word all night. Hey, Rebecca. The scarlet-haired woman turned to face him. Yeah, she asked nonchalantly. Is everything okay with you? You've hardly said a word since you got here, and you keep looking away from me. Is there something you don't like about me? Rebecca sighed. No, it's not you, it's just that, this isn't me, coming here was all Eon's idea. The girl beside her faced her. I brought you here so you could get a chance to relax. You've been working hard at the restaurant, you barely ever get some time to yourself. I know, but I'm still concerned about my younger siblings, Rebecca admitted. Asta's eyes showed some surprise. You have siblings. That's right. One of them is old enough to watch the rest on her own, but I still can't help but worry. I was going to ask Eon if she could do it, but she was coming too. My siblings and I lost our parents some time ago, and it's up to me to care for them, she replied. I know how you feel, Asta then said. I have siblings too. We're not related by blood, but we grew up in the same orphanage. Times pass where I miss them. Being with them was so much fun. Rebecca smiled. Same here. I love my siblings to death. Eon smiled too. She was glad to see her friend was finally beginning to enjoy herself, as well as having someone similar for her to talk to. She then turned to Kenos, but was a bit shocked as she saw a slightly distressed look on his face. I really envy you too. Asta and Rebecca turned to face Kenos as he said those words. They saw the look on his face as well. Eon was the one to speak up. Envy. Do you have siblings too, Kenos? He slightly nodded. Yeah, I do, but we're not really on the best terms. We haven't been for a long time. We still speak to each other, but I've never really had fun with them, at least nothing I can remember, he replied. I'm somewhat jealous of you too. You both appear to have good bonds with your siblings. Asta's siblings aren't even related to him, and it's better than mine. I guess I wish sometimes that my family could be like yours. Asta didn't say anything. He knew how things were between Kenos and his relationship with Dante and Oksana. Even if they were decent people, he couldn't deny that there was still tension between them. Eon looked at the solar mage as well. Her facial expression changed quickly to one of determination as she stood up. Kenos, why don't we have a walk outside? I want to talk to you about something. Sure, he replied as he stood up too. Eon crouched down to Rebecca's ear. I'll be back. You and Asta are hitting it off just fine, so I know you won't need me around to cover for you. A small smile was on the scarlet-haired girl's face. Whatever, just get going, and remember, don't do anything you shouldn't be. Eon giggled. You don't have to worry about me, you know I'm not that kind of girl, she said as she turned to Kenos. Okay, let's go. She walked outside, Kenos right beside her. Asta and Rebecca continued their conversation, laughing while they told each other stories about their siblings, all while Noelle watched them from afar, holding a plate. No, they look like they're having so much fun, she muttered as pulled on the plate, breaking it cleanly in half. Her boss walked up to her and gasped. What are you doing? You practically begged me to give you a job here, but you hardly do anything, you're rude to customers, and now you're breaking property, what kind of employee are you? She turned around to face him, her face similar to that she gave the male patron earlier. That's enough out of you, she said, her boss walking away frightened. Did that really happen? No way. Asta laughed. He was feeling a lot less tense from before, but just then, a shadow loomed over him. He looked up to see a rather large man. His cheeks were red and he stumbled, making it obvious that he was drunk. Well, if it isn't a magic night, you're pretty short. Did they just let anyone in these days? He said before turning to Rebecca. And who is this beauty? Wait a minute. You look familiar. Ah, I remember. You work at that restaurant with all your kids, trying to settle down with a magic night. Not a bad plan. Rebecca looked obviously offended. Those aren't my kids, they're my siblings, and I'm not trying to settle down. The man put his hand on her shoulder. Yeah, right. If you're going to take any guy, I think he'll do just fine. Hey, let go of me, Rebecca said as Asta put his hand on the man's wrist. He turned to the teen. Oh, is the magic knight going to use his magic on me? He taunted. Actually, I don't have any magic power, but don't underestimate me. Asta exclaimed as the veins in his arm pulsed before he lifted the man and threw him into a nearby table. You don't know a single thing about her, she's an incredible girl. People began looking at the pair. Rebecca quickly got up and grabbed Asta's hand. Follow me, she said as she led them out of the building. Noelle saw them leave. She turned to her boss. Hey, I quit, she said before running out of the building too, eager to catch up with the two. It really is beautiful tonight. Kenos looked at Eon as they walked. The girl was looking up at the sky. The solar mage did the same and widened his eyes. The night sky was filled with stars, and the full moon shone brightly. You're right, it is. I know. I wonder how Rebecca's doing. She wondered aloud. I bet she's fine. She's with Asta after all, he answered. So, what did you want to talk to me about? You said that you weren't on good terms with your siblings, right? Kenos nodded. That's right, but I guess I should still be grateful. It could have been much worse. I see. You said you were jealous of Asta and Rebecca, but in a way, I'm envious of you, Eon said with a small tone of sadness at the end. Kenos was genuinely surprised. Envious of me? What for? I bet you have a great life, you already have a wonderful personality. She shortly giggled. Thanks, but I'm not like you and Rebecca, I'm like Asta, I don't know where I came from, she said. My parents abandoned me when I was 2, my earliest memory was them placing me somewhere before walking away. Oh, that must have been horrible, I'm really sorry, Kenos told her. Don't be, I don't blame my parents, I don't even know what situation they were in, they could have just left me because they weren't financially stable, she said. For years, I lived on the streets, picking up skills to do what I could to survive, but my life changed when I met Rebecca. Rebecca? Kenos asked. Eon nodded. That's right, it was 2 years ago, I was passing by her restaurant and the food smelled so good, but I didn't have any money, but regardless, she let me in and gave me a meal. I was so grateful that I wanted to do something to repay her, so I decided to stay and became a cook, she explained. Kenos gave her a warm smile. That was really nice of her, so I'm guessing you live with her and her siblings. Bullseye. But when I first started living there, I didn't really hit it off too well with her siblings, we had trouble getting along, we would still talk to each other, but there was obvious tension between us, Eon replied. Sounds a lot like the relationship with my own siblings, did you ever fix it? Eon shook her head. Not really, even now. We don't get along too well, but I'd be lying if I said we haven't gotten closer, she replied. I'd do anything for them, and I'd do anything for Rebecca, and I know that they would do anything for me too. I wish that it was the same with me, Kenos said. So is that everything you wanted to tell me? Not exactly, she replied as she stopped walking. Kenos did the same. What I wanted to tell you was that we're the same, we both don't get along with our siblings, but with me, we were able to get closer and I feel they dislike me just a little less. You seem like a great guy, I know one day it'll be the same for you too. Kenos smiled. Thanks a lot, he said. So, should we head back? I think we should, she replied as they turned around and started walking back. Hey, Eon. Yeah, I'm glad that I met you. This mixer was a great idea, Keno said. The girl grabbed the mage's arm and brought herself close to him. Same here. Keno's was a bit surprised. Not that I mind, but why are you clinging to me? People who pass by will get the wrong idea. Eon smiled. No real reason, you're just the first male friend I have that's around my age. I'm 18 by the way, she replied. Hey, if you ever want to, you can come over to the restaurant, it's in Neen, you can bring Asta too. Keno's grinned. I don't see why not. I think we are safe here, Rebecca said, catching her breath. She and Asta had run into an alleyway not too far from the building. Noelle had managed to catch up with them and hid behind another building. Wow, that all happened so fast, Asta said. I know, she agreed as she stood up straight and looked at the boy. He called me an incredible girl. Asta looked at her, causing her to blush and look away. Hey, thanks for saying what you did back there. No problem, he grinned, scratching the back of his head. Hey Asta, this might be a bit of an odd question, but is there anyone you're interested in, like, romantically? Rebecca asked with some reluctance. Asta was starry-eyed. Yes, there is someone I'm interested in, she's super amazing, we're from the same. That's amazing, I wish you luck, Rebecca interrupted him. He may be into someone else, but there's no way I'm giving up on him. Noelle on the other hand was completely flustered. Same what? Does he mean the same squad? Can he be talking about me? She thought frantically. I think the coast is clear, let's get out of here, the water mage heard Asta say. She quickly ran and hid by another spot nearby. The pair walked out of the alley. Just as they did, they noticed Keno's and Eon walking to them. Hey there you two, Rebecca greeted them before noticing the girl clinging to Keno's arm. Eon, what did I tell you? Don't worry, nothing happened, Eon said back to her. Rebecca looked to Keno's. I'm sorry about her, she's a very energetic person and has always wanted a male friend around her age, please don't think too much of it. It's alright, the solar mage said as a portal appeared next to them. Asta and Keno's recognized it as Finral's, and surely, Finral and Erica came out from it. That was fun, but I don't think this will work out, she said. I'm heading home, see you tomorrow, Rebecca, Eon. Damn it, I was so close, how did I fail? Finral exclaimed hysterically as he dropped to his hands and knees in comedic defeat. Keno's looked at his senior. Okay, I guess he didn't do so well, he thought. Don't worry Finral, you'll succeed one of these days. Thanks, Keno's, the spatial mage said. Well, I guess we should be off. Okay then, it was nice meeting you three. Don't worry, we can head back home on our own, Eon said as she and Rebecca walked away from them. Tonight was a lot of fun. I almost can't believe I was nervous earlier, Asta said. I envy you, Asta, Finral said as he formed a portal. The three walked into it. I better hurry, or I'll be stuck here, Noelle whispered as she ran into the portal before it disappeared. On the other side, the three magic knights arrived back at base. Noelle came in right after them and ran to the side of the base to avoid being seen. You're right Asta, that was fun. Eon was a really cool girl, she even gave me some good words of encouragement during our talk. Now let's head in, I can't wait to tell the others about it. The other two smiled as they entered the base. Finral may have struck out, but Asta and Keno's were happy to have made a new friend. Chapter 16. The Compass Guided by Lightning. Hey there, readers, December 1st has passed, meaning the OC suggestions are back, they'll be up until Christmas. As well as that, tomorrow, I'll be sending a poll about this chapter. I ask that you all partake in it, because your choice has a chance to change the story. The poll will be on my profile page. With that out of the way, enjoy the latest chapter. I'm very proud of you, you know. In the courts of Golden Dawn HQ, the Wind Mage turned at the sound of Klaus' voice and saw him and Mimosa. It had been 2 days since the attack on the capital, and just the day before, like Asta, Noelle, Keno's, and Charmy, Yuno had been promoted, but to 5th class intermediate magic knight. We heard from Captain William that you were promoted, congratulations, Mimosa said. We also heard about your fight with that member of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. I see, Yuno plainly said. Bell flew out in front of the steel and plant mage. It would only make sense for him to be promoted, he is Yuno after all, she squeaked cheerfully. Klaus nodded. I can't deny that, you're starting to rise up in the ranks, but don't forget that I am still your superior, he said. Yuno's facial expression changed to one of comedic indifference. Oh yeah, almost forgot, thanks for the reminder Specs. Specs. Oh, you're referring to my glasses, I guess I can allow it, it is an improvement on Asta calling me Four Eyes, the steel mage replied as he pushed his glasses up with a small grin on his face. Hey there everyone, a voice said. The trio turned to see Latois walking over to them. Hello Latois, Mimosa greeted the compass mage. How have you been? Fine, but I still feel bad. I should have been there to help you all at the capital, especially with what happened to the captain of the Crimson Lion Kings, she replied. Don't feel bad, you were on another mission, Klaus told her. And nobody knew it would happen, or we would have undoubtedly had more reinforcements. Latois sighed. Yeah, you're right, I guess I just wish that I could have done something, she said before turning to Yuno. And speaking of that, I heard that you got promoted to 5th class intermediate magic knight, congratulations Yuno. Yuno silently nodded as he turned and walked away. Is it just me, or is Yuno acting a little more distant than usual? Latois asked. I agree, but Yuno's still new, not to mention he's the only commoner here. I know that one day, he'll get used to us, Mimosa replied. Either that or he's embarrassed that he's being praised so much. But as Yuno walked away from them, none of them noticed the small smile that formed on the Wind Mage's face. Thanks a lot, everyone. Belle saw that smile. You seem pretty happy, she said. Oh wait, I know, in celebration of your promotion, why don't we go on a date? Yuno quickly looked at her before looking straight. Sure. Belle pulled on his cheek. No fair Yuno, why are you always, wait, did you say sure? Yeah, I really owe you one. If it wasn't for your magic, I would have never been able to beat Catherine, he confirmed. But nowhere expensive. Oh Yuno, the spirit said as she tried to kiss her master's cheek. Yuno shielded himself from her. Don't get carried away. Alright, I suppose this is as good as it's going to get, she pouted. Well, I wonder what I'm going to do today. Latois wondered aloud. I know what Mimosa, Yuno, and I are going to do. We have a mission to get to, Klaus said as he walked towards the Wind Mage. Yeah, we better get going, Mimosa added, starting to walk away, but just then, she turned to face the other female knight. Oh yeah, almost forgot. Captain William told us if we ever saw you, tell you he wanted to see you in his office, she said before walking away. The two met up with Yuno and told him the news. Damn it, Latois heard Belle exclaim before hearing Yuno tell her they would go another time. The captain wants to see me, I wonder why, she thought to herself as she made her way to the door of William's office. She took a short breath before knocking on the door. Come in, she heard her captain say from the other side. She opened the door and walked in, seeing her captain. He was wearing his signature helmet. Yes captain, I heard you wanted to see me. Ah Latois, yes, I have a mission for you, William replied. Our squad has obtained intel from the capital that a pair of bandits plan to smuggle illegal magic items out of the kingdom and into the Diamond Kingdom. They weren't sure of the threat the bandits could pose with the items or where they exactly were, so they wanted the best squad in the kingdom to handle it, Latois finished. William nodded. Correct, but as you were on your way to my office, I realized we have a problem. Latois' eyes tensed. A problem? Yes, all the other Golden Dawn are on missions, and I have some paperwork to do today, so I'm afraid you'll have to do this mission solo, the captain explained. Is it really a problem if I do this solo, sir? The compass mage asked. Not technically. I'm confident in your abilities. I did choose you to join my squad, but as I stated earlier, we don't know what kind of threat these bandits can pose, so going on your own can be dangerous, he replied. Oh, I understand, Latois nodded before something popped into her head. Wait, may I suggest an idea? She asked. William made a hand gesture, signaling her to continue. If one of our own can't come with me on this mission, is it possible for a magic knight from another squad to assist me? She continued. William stroked his chin. I don't see why not. If you complete the mission, I'll inform the capital to give both of our squads a star, he replied. But is there anyone you have in mind? Latois gave him a small smile. Yes, I do, and I know he'll be excited to do this. Eat up, everyone. Lunchtime had come for the Black Bulls. The Cotton Mage called them all to grab their plates as she stacked high piles of food on it. Magna tore off a piece of meat from his plate before turning to Asta and Kenos. So, I take it you two and Finral enjoyed your little get-together last night? He asked. You bet, Kenos replied as he took a bite of his own food. I met this really cool girl named Eon. And I got to know her friend Rebecca, she's really cool too. Asta exclaimed. Really cool. She's not all that if you ask me, Noelle thought before her mind wandered to Asta saying he was interested in someone. Her face went beet red. Kenos looked at her. You okay Noelle? Did you eat something spicy? Why yeah, something spicy. Ah, she replied, doing her best to imitate a painful scream. The solar mage shrugged. Eon and Rebecca it looks like our rookies got game. Magna exclaimed. Asta was confused by his senior's words, but Kenos wasn't. It's not like that Magna, not at all, he told the flame mage before remembering Eon clinging to his arm. Thank God he wasn't there when that happened. Charmy took a bite of her food before noticing something. Hey, has anyone seen Luck? She asked. Not sure. Last I saw, he went to his room, Vanessa replied. Well, that doesn't matter. He'll come down when he's hungry, Yami spoke up before hearing a knock on the door. Huh. Did one of you invite someone here without telling me? Because if that person did, they're dead. No, Captain, they all replied. But I wonder who it could be. Kenos wondered as he got up and walked to the door, opening it. Who's here, and what do you? He began talking, but stopped as a familiar face passed by him and entered the base. Oh, hello Latois. Hello Kenos, she greeted back. Who's she? Yami asked. Kenos turned to his squadmates. This is Latois Becquerel, a magic knight from the Golden Dawn. She was with us during the dungeon mission we went to last week. Golden Dawn? Charmy asked as she ran up to Latois. Do you know you know? Yeah, he's my squadmate, Latois replied. Do you know him? The cotton mage nodded. I do, as a guest of our hideout, and the squadmate of my meal-saving prince. Please accept this, she said, handing the compass mage a pastry. Thank you, Latois said, grabbing it and taking a bite. Oh, that's good. So Latois, what are you exactly doing here? Noel asked. Oh, Captain William assigned me a mission, but we don't have an available member to assist me, so I asked if he could let me team up with a magic knight from another squad, she explained. I see, Yami said. So which member of my squad do you want to help you? I was wondering if Luck could assist me, the compass mage answered. We fought well together in the dungeon, and I've wanted to do another team up with him as well. Oh, I see what's going on, Vanessa said with a smirk as she walked over to Latois and put her arm around the compass mage's shoulder. Out of the 3 other black bulls you could have chosen to accompany you, you chose Luck I. Yes, what exactly are you implying? Latois asked with some suspicion. Implying? Oh no, I just want to know how our resident battle-hungry maniac managed to score himself such a cutie. She answered. Latois' facial expression didn't change from the thread mage's words. I assure you that's not it at all. He's just the one I have the most knowledge on when it comes to his fighting tendencies and his compatibility with my own magic. Vanessa released herself from the female knight and walked back to the couch. All right then, if that's what you say. So, these are the black bulls. They're odd, but they seem nice enough, Latois thought. I've explained who I came here for, so if can you call? Latois, a voice exclaimed from the hallway. Everyone recognized who it belonged to as Luck burst out and ran to the compass mage. I felt your mana all the way from my room. What are you doing here? Are we going to fight now? Still no. I have a mission and I want you to join me, she told him. The lightning mage crossed his arms. You're no fun. Why should I go? Go with her Luck, Vanessa said, trying not to grin. She came here just for you. I already told you that's not it, Latois whispered. And as for why you should go, while you can't fight me, you will get to fight bandits. Luck's eyes brightened at those words. Are they strong bandits? They have illegal magic items, so I'm guessing they are, she replied with a shrug. The lightning mage jumped into the air with joy. Oh yeah, that's more like it, let's go, he exclaimed. Okay then, make sure you don't stay out too late, Yami said. Yes sir, Luck said. Just wait here Latois, I'll go get my broom, it's in my room. Alright, I'll wait here, she said back as Luck raced into the hallway. He was pretty quick, only 3 minutes passed before he came out from the hallway, his broom in hand. Now we can go, CYA later everyone. He exclaimed as he and Latois walked outside and mounted their brooms, flying into the sky. Alright Luck, since this is originally a mission for the Golden Dawn, I hope you don't mind if I take the lead, Latois said. Luck nodded. That's all good with me, just as long as I get to fight, he responded. The two continued flying for a good amount of time. 20 minutes passed before they landed. Okay, we're here, the outskirts of the Clover Kingdom, Latois said as she and Luck looked at where they were. The area had one straight trail. On the sides of the trails were a decent array of trees of medium height. The area was devoid of any buildings and civilization. We're here, great, so where are the bandits? Luck asked ecstatically. They aren't here right now, she replied plainly as she scanned the area. I was told by Captain William that the bandit would cross by here during the night. We'll intercept them here so that they can't get away easily. For now, let's gather materials for a fire and wait for them to arrive. All right, Latois took out her grimoire. Okay, we should begin by. She didn't get to say another word as Luck raced past her, equipped in his lightning limb armor. He zoomed from branch to branch until he became but a blur of blue light to the compass mage. Once he had gathered enough kinetic energy, Luck aimed his foot right at the base of a tree, knocking it down. There we go. Can't start a fire without wood, the lightning mage mused as he used his gauntlets to cut the tree into logs. Latois walked over to him. Luck, what are you doing? What are you talking about? You said we needed materials for a fire. I'm getting wood, he replied. The compass mage internally sighed. You're using your magic unnecessarily. What I meant by gathering materials was to look for fallen leaves and branches, she explained as she summoned her needles. They then scattered from her, going in different directions. A few seconds passed before they returned, some having twigs, others having leaves. Leaves are necessary to start a fire, and sticks are used to keep the fire healthy and not make too much smoke. Her last words, however, were ignored as Luck drew close to her. His eyes showed enthusiasm that almost matched Asta's. No way. Your needles were able to go on their own in different directions and even skewer sticks. Your magic control must be stellar. Well, thanks. I've been working on it ever since the dungeon mission. That fight taught me a few things, she said back before turning around. Let's get moving. We have to start that fire soon. Hey, can we still use these logs? Luck asked. Latois turned to quickly face him before turning around. I suppose, it's already here. Not using it would be a waste. Nice. The lightning mage exclaimed happily as he skipped over and picked up as many as he could. From afar, Latois noticed him. He's so carefree, she thought. Come on, Luck. Let's get a move on. We don't have all day. Right behind you, he said as he began walking to catch up with her, but a thought came into his head. She's so serious. The two eventually arrived at an open spot, free from a majority of trees. After clearing away whatever leaves or branches were there, they set down what they found earlier. Latois used 4 of the logs Luck made to create a border for the fire. Within the border, Luck placed the remaining logs in the center along with the leaves and branches Latois collected. Okay, we've set everything up. Now all we need is to start the fire, the compass mage said. Leave that part to me. I'm no flame mage, but I have the next best thing, Luck responded as a small amount of lightning generated on his pointer finger. He bent down next to a leaf and put his finger next to it. A few seconds passed before the smell of smoke touched their noses and the leaf began to ignite. Over time, the other contents began igniting too until a fire burned bright. Latois nodded. Impressive, she said as they both sat down on the grass and looked up at the sky. It looks like the sun is going to set soon, Luck stated before hearing his stomach growl. He grabbed it with one hand. Man, am I hungry. I forgot to have lunch before I left. I wonder if there are animals around here. I've never really hunted before, but I can still try to see what I can find. You won't need to do that, Latois interrupted him as she took out a medium-sized bag from beside her and pulled stuff out of it. I brought bread and butter along with some grilled chicken from my squad's base. We can heat it up over the fire. She used her needles to suspend the bread and chicken over the fire. Once hot enough, she spread butter on them and handed it to Luck. Thanks a lot, he said gratefully as he took a bite. Not bad. It doesn't really compare to Charmy's cooking, but it's still good. Charmy? Latois asked. She's from my squad, a short girl with black hair who loves her food, Luck replied. The compass mage searched her memory and remembered the girl who gave her the pastry from before. Oh, I know her. That pastry she gave me does taste better than this, but this still tastes good and we need sustenance. Luck quickly finished his meal. Thanks, that did some good for me for the time being. You're welcome. Now, all we have to do is wait for the bandits to show up, Latois said back. So, just asking, how many bandits are we fighting? 10, 20? Luck asked ecstatically. No, I was only told there would be 2 of them, she plainly replied. I see, Luck stated before sighing. I'm bored, waiting for my enemies to come to me isn't my thing. Well, is there anything you want to do? Latois asked. I know, why don't we just talk to each other? It's the best thing we got for now, he replied. All right then, so what do you want to talk about? Well, I want to talk about you. Latois was a bit taken aback. Me? Luck nodded. Yeah, we fought pretty well in the dungeon together against Andreas, but I don't really know much about you. You're a noble if I'm not mistaken, and you give off a really serious demeanor. I do, she asked. The lightning mage nodded once more. You do, it's actually surprising. Most nobles I've seen are pretty stuck up. I don't really care what they think, but you don't seem like the condescending type. As well as serious, you're quite humble. Latois averted her gaze sideways. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I know I can be serious a lot of the time. That's just the kind of person I am, or at least, the way I was raised. Luck's eyes showed interest. The way you were raised. Wait a minute, how old are you? Latois turned her head and looked straight at him. I'm turning 17 this year, she replied plainly. What? Luck exclaimed with genuine surprise. You're younger than me. The same look appeared on Latois' face. You're older than me. Wait, how old are you? 18, he replied. That makes me about 2 years older than you. No way, she muttered. That's shocking, but what were you saying about how you were raised? Luck reminded her. Oh yeah, I wasn't too old when it was instilled in me, but it's something that I won't ever forget, she recalled. Flashback. Becquerel household. 10 years ago. Latois. Oh Latois, Come down, we must get moving, a female voice called from the bottom of a staircase. From the top of the stairs, a young Latois came down. Her hair was significantly shorter and was tied in pigtails, she a casual red gown and black glasses. Sorry for making you wait, mother, Latois said apologetically. Her mother lightly ruffled her hair. It's all right, now let's get going, she said as she took her daughter's hand and walked out of the estate. Mother, where are we exactly going? You never told me. Latois asked. We're going on a stroll around the capital, and we can stop by whatever stand you want, she replied. Really? Her mother smiled. Yes, you're going to turn 7 soon, consider it an early birthday present, she then sighed. It almost feels like yesterday when I first held you in my arms. You've become such a fine young lady, especially as my only child. I'm very lucky to have you. No, I'm the lucky one. I get to have a great life, live in a great house, and have a great mom, Latois said as she hugged her mom. The woman returned the hug. Thank you, Latois. You're welcome, and just you wait. When I get older, I'm going to become a magic knight, then I'll really make you proud, she said. Her mother held her chin. A magic knight? I don't see why not. What squad would you like to be a part of? She asked. Isn't it obvious? I'm going to join the Golden Dawn. Father says they're the best magic knight squad in the kingdom, Latois replied. The Golden Dawn, that sounds like a great goal, and I bet you would look great in their robes, her mother giggled. You really think so? Of course, but you're only 6 years old, you still have 9 years before you get your grimoire and take the exam. By then you won't be my little girl anymore, you'll be a member of our kingdom's elite, she replied. The kingdom's elite? The little girl wondered aloud as they stopped by a stand. Latois looked up to see a man who appeared to be in his 50s, his hair was mostly black with some gray streaks here and there, the sign of approaching old age, and he wore a basic gray attire. As she saw the man, a smile formed on her face. Her mother wore the same smile. Hello Hans, she greeted. The man named Hans grinned. Hello there Lady Natalie, and little Lady Latois, he greeted them back. Hi Mr. Hans, Latois said cheerfully. She knew the man very well, he was a former servant at their estate, more specifically, Latois' caretaker. The two formed an incredible bond, but eventually Hans left to start a business, and fortunately, his business wasn't too far away from where she lived. What's on the menu today Hans? Natalie asked. A new invention of mine. I was able to find a magic item which uses air to spin things. By mistake, I dropped some sugar on it, but it turned into something else, Hans replied as he handed it over to Latois. It was a white and puffy thing on a wooden skewer. I call it spun sugar. Thank you very much, Latois said as she looked at the airy confection. It looks a lot like cotton. She then took a bite of it. And it's sweet like candy. Have you considered calling it cotton candy? Cotton candy. That does roll off the tongue better. Why not? Cotton candy it is, Hans said, handing one to Natalie. Thank you. How much will that cost? Natalie asked. Oh no, don't worry about this one. No price, Hans replied. It's free, but why? Latois asked. Come on Latois, I was your caretaker. You think I wouldn't remember that your birthday is coming up soon? You're turning 7 soon. Consider this an early present in case I don't see you on the exact day, he replied. What are you talking about? You'll be the first one I invite, even if I have to drag you from here, the little girl told him. All right then, I'll be there. Bye for now, Hans said. Bye Hans, they said back as they walked away from his stand. I'm really enjoying these early presents, Latois said as she took another bite of her cotton candy. Natalie did the same, enjoying the soft and airy sweetness of the confection. I'm glad, she said before the two of them noticed a crowd growing. What's going on over there? The two walked to the crowd to see what was happening and saw it. In the center, a tall bearded man wearing an extravagant green suit. Latois' eyes widened. I know that man, he's that noble that lives close to us, right? Her mother nodded. It appears that he's showing off his new attire, she said. Latois looked up at Natalie. For some reason, it was almost as if she was scoffing at the man. Behold people, my newest suit, made of the finest materials in the kingdom. Watch in awe, the nobleman said pompously as the people around him did just that. Just then, a man was passing by them. Based on his ragged attire, it was easy to see that he was a peasant. He just kept walking, not noticing the nobleman until he bumped right into him. What in the nobleman said surprised, turning to see who bumped into him. He saw the peasant. Watch it, commoner, do you have any idea how expensive this suit is? Oh, my bad, I should have watched where I was going, the poor man said apologetically. Despite the tone of the commoner, the nobleman's tone did not change. Make sure you do. This suit is worth more than your worthless life, he scoffed. A suit worth more than my life? I doubt that. If it's so expensive, why would you wear it where it can get dirty? The peasant asked. What kind of question is that? But then again, that is what a commoner would say. I wear this so others can see my wealth. people like you, who can never have what I do. What is that man saying? Latoile whispered to herself. Just then, Natalie took her hand. The little girl could feel the woman's tight grip as she was led away from the crowd. Come on, Latoile, let's continue our stroll, she said as if she was struggling to contain her anger. Mother, that nobleman looked really mad when that commoner bumped into his clothes. Is that a big deal? Should we do that too? We're nobles just like he is. Latoile asked. Natalie stopped and let go of her daughter's hand before kneeling down to look at her. No, Latoile, you must never be like him. Nobles who drown in their own pride and self-importance are disgraces to the Clover Kingdom. Never become pompous merely because of the life you were born into. And don't look down on others who were born into a life worse than yours. Be diligent and don't let your humility falter, my daughter, for nobles like us are part of what makes this kingdom great. Do you understand? Latoile nodded. I understand, mother. I'll do my best. But, what does diligent and pompous mean? She asked innocently. At the sound of those words, Natalie did her best not to laugh. Despite how clever her daughter was, she forgot that she was only 6 years old. Pompous means to be really proud yet mean to others. As for diligent, it means to be hardworking and serious, she explained, hoping Latoile understood the words she used. So you want me to be hardworking and serious? The girl asked. That's right. Can you do that for me? Natalie asked back. Of course I can. That doesn't sound too hard, she replied. The two then shared another hug. After they broke their embrace, Natalie smiled. Now, what you say we look for another stand to visit, she said as they walked together, hand in hand. End flashback. And that's what happened, Latoile finished. Now that I think about it, I was a lot more cheerful as a little girl, but it seems my mother's words along with the experiences I've faced as a magic knight have molded me into the person I am today, not that I hate how I am. Wow, what a story. I feel like I know a little more about you, Luck said. Latoile nodded. That's right, now it's your turn. I don't really know about you, but I have heard of you, Luck Voltia, also known as Luck the Cheery Berserker. From what I got, you completely defeated a noble once, and you were known to cling to your mother. Those last words struck a chord with the lightning mage as he turned his head, his smile fading. Latoile quickly noticed this. Oh, I'm sorry, is that a sensitive topic for you? No, not really, it just reminded me of her, he replied. Not too long ago, I used to believe that she was the only one who loved me, the only one in the world who would truly accept me and stay by my side, but I was wrong. I realized that the Black Bulls have never left my side either. I mean a lot to every single one of them, and that makes me happy. Latoile sighed a breath of relief. That's good to know, but other than that, I've noticed that you have quite the carefree attitude. It really surprised me when I found out you're older than me. My attitude spawns from my drive to fight strong people. As long as I get to do what I want, I could really care less about other stuff, at least, when it comes to some topics, he said. Latoile looked intently at the lightning mage. You know, we're actually quite different. Luck stretched as he laid down on the grass. No offense, but I think I already knew that. I'm a carefree kind of guy who likes to fight, and you're a serious girl, nothing wrong with that. I suppose, and I guess we can even count our attributes as differences, the compass mage stated. How so? Luck asked plainly. Well, I use compass magic. The nature of a compass is to guide you to a specific area based on where you are. It's small and weak, yet very calculated and controlled. You on the other hand use lightning magic. The nature of lightning is unpredictable, it's very powerful, yet wild and has no clear direction. That actually describes you perfectly, Latoile explained. Really? I never really thought of it that way. It's actually pretty cool. Luck laughed as he sat up straight. He then looked at the compass mage. You know what? I'm glad you decided to bring me with you. I already respected you after our battle in the dungeon, and that respect has only grown. A small smile creased Latoile's face. The feeling is mutual. She then noticed something and looked up into the sky. It's nighttime already. I could have sworn the sun was just setting a little while ago. I guess that just means we were having too much fun. Luck grinned before he stopped, his grin disappearing. What's the matter? Latoile asked. I'm picking up mana. Not too far from here, he replied. You think it's the bandits? She nodded. Most likely. We have to find them, she said as she used her needles to spread dirt around the fire, extinguishing it. The two then grabbed their brooms and flew a few feet above the ground to avoid making a sound. Once they arrived near the trail, they quietly dismounted and hid behind the trees. I'm going to see who's there, Latoile whispered to Luck as she peered beside the tree. She saw two people, a man and a woman. They were both dressed in sand-colored cloaks, and the man was pushing a large wagon loaded with content hidden by a tarp. I wonder if we're close to leaving the Clover Kingdom. My feet are killing me, the woman complained. Enough whining, Bonnie. We're almost past the border. Once we get through this trail, that is, the man said to her. The woman named Bonnie sucked her teeth. What do you mean whining? We've been walking all day, Donnie. Can we at least take a break? The man named Donnie sighed. Fine, but only for 5 minutes, he said as the two stopped and rested by one of the trees. Latois turned her head back to Luck. You heard them, they're going to rest. This is our chance to, she was saying before hearing Luck lightly chuckle. Luck. You're right, this is our chance. I haven't fought all day. Let's go, he said as his grimoire came out and his limb armor formed and he zoomed towards his targets. I guess Bonnie was right. A rest actually wouldn't hurt. Wait a minute, what's that? Donnie thought as he found himself quite relaxed after all the walking he had done, but then he noticed a bright blue blur headed straight for Bonnie. Look out. The woman heard his declaration and noticed the blur before quickly getting out of its way. What the hell? Don't move, Latois then exclaimed as she came out of her hiding spot. Luck landed right next to her as they stared down the bandits. Donnie looked at them and noticed what they were wearing. Shit, magic knights, but how? This is as far as you go. We're taking you in and confiscating the illegal magic items, Latois said to them. Donnie's face showed frustration, however, a shadow loomed over Bonnie's face as she stood up. Take us in, like hell you are. Bonnie, are you okay? What happened to your aching feet? Donnie asked. Screw aching feet, we didn't walk all this way just to get captured. She exclaimed as her grimoire came up to her. Latois quickly summoned needles as they raced towards Bonnie, but the woman dodged them. Donnie, it seems that the boy is the faster one between them. You take him on, I got the girl. I'm on it, he said back as he took out his grimoire. Wind creation magic. Blades of Zephyr. He exclaimed as 3 long blades of wind appeared next to him. He then raised his hand and pointed to Luck as the blades raced towards him. It seems I found my opponent. Good luck, Luck said as he zoomed away, the blades right on his trail, Donnie following him as well. Good luck to you too, Latois said as she and Bonnie looked at each other. You're going to regret getting in our way, Magic Knight, she said. Water creation magic. Hydro sword. She exclaimed as a sword made of water appeared. She grabbed it and got into a fighting stance. A sword so that means she fights close range. Back at the dungeon, Andreas took advantage of the fact that I could only fight long range, but that was a week ago. I've grown stronger since then, Latois thought as her grimoire came up. Compass creation magic. Defying east. At her command, a needle came out of her grimoire, and it was soon enveloped in light. Within the light, it elongated. As the light faded, the needle took on the appearance of a rapier. The compass mage confidently took hold of it as she entered her own stance. Prepare to die, Bonnie exclaimed as she charged at her. Latois did the same. As they met each other, their blades clashed, the sound ringing throughout. Bonnie took a step back and spun around, using the momentum to increase the force of her next strike. Latois, however, noticed this and backed up. She quickly approached the female bandit again, but instead of making a slashing motion, she made a thrusting motion. Bonnie used the side of her blade to block the incoming attack. You're not half bad, but you won't beat me. I won't lose to some in a match between blades, she said as her attacks became a lot more aggressive, forcing Latois on defense. She's right. I only unlocked this spell recently. I don't have as much experience as she does, but experience isn't everything, Latois thought as she backed up again. Her grimoire flipped to another page. Compass magic. Useless north. She exclaimed as the singular needle appeared, racing towards her target. Bonnie dodged it, but noticed just a few seconds later that it was coming back. Her spell is just like Donnie's. It follows its target. That would be troublesome, but I have an idea to take care of it, she thought as she began running, right towards a tree. She then stopped and turned around, entering a stance as the needle approached her. What's she doing? Is she planning on using her sword to stop the needle? Latois wondered to herself. Come at me, I'm not afraid. Bonnie exclaimed as the needle got closer. She then smirked as she jumped into the air, the needle hitting and getting lodged in the tree behind her. Latois was partly surprised. She led my needle towards her. Then right before it hit her, she jumped out of the way to cause the needle to get stuck in the tree. Not bad. Take this, Bonnie exclaimed while still in the air. Water magic. Aqua slash. She exclaimed as a crescent slash of water raced towards the compass mage. Bad move, Latois said as she formed a compass in front of her. She then formed more compasses to the left of her, all the way to where Bonnie would land. Compass magic. Willful compass. Full deflection. She exclaimed as the water slash was redirected over and over until it was heading straight for where Bonnie would be. What the hell did you do? Bonnie exclaimed as she landed. Right as she did, the slash hit her, sending her into a tree. Nice, I got a hit in, but I doubt she's out of the fight, Latois said as she carefully approached the bandit. Meanwhile, while the two females were fighting, Luck zoomed around the trees, doing his best to get away from Donnie's wind blades. Donnie himself wasn't too far away, even without a spell, he was quite fast. What's the matter, Magic Knight? You've been just running away, are you scared? He asked with a smirk. Luck turned his head around. Donnie was expecting him to have a frightened look on his face, but he was taken aback to see that the lightning mage was smiling from ear to ear. Scared? Why would I be scared? This is exciting, he exclaimed as he landed on a tree and used it to thrust himself towards Donnie, the blades continuing to follow him. What are you doing? Donnie asked aloud. You'll see right now, Luck exclaimed as he quickly jumped upwards. Donnie looked up to see him. Damn, he's fast. Wait, where are my blades? He thought as he looked down and saw the blades racing towards him. Luck's movement was so fast, the blades would hit him before following the lightning mage again. Donnie quickly raised his hands, dissipating the spell. He grit his teeth. An impressive move, but let's see how you fare against this attack. Wind magic, hurricane blast. He exclaimed as he shot a powerful blast of wind upwards toward Luck. Now you're talking. Lightning magic, thunderbolt destruction. He exclaimed as he fired the orbs of electricity, clashing with the bandit's attack. Damn it, Donnie whispered. This was a fun fight, but I think I should just finish you. Latois wouldn't like it if I took too long, Luck said as his grimoire flipped to another page. Lightning magic. Voltage trail. He exclaimed as electricity surrounded one of his boots. He then made a kicking motion, sending the trail right at Donnie at a frightening speed. Ah! Donnie exclaimed as the spell began electrocuting him. Luck landed on a tree and began building up kinetic energy before speeding towards the male bandit, drop-kicking him right in the stomach, launching him right into a tree. Damn, that hurt a lot, Donnie muttered as he looked beside and saw Bonnie. Bonnie, she got you too. Yeah, these guys aren't magic knights for nothing, she replied as she got back up, causing Latois to stop her advance. We can't lose here, we're going to make out of this kingdom. Donnie got up too. You're right, let's give it everything we got. Luck landed right next to Latois. I see you did well. The same with you. Nice work, but it doesn't look like they're out yet, Latois said back. This is it, magic knights, prepare for the worst. Bonnie exclaimed as she raised one hand into the air. Water magic. Donnie did the same. Wind magic. It looks like they're going to do something big. This is exciting, Luck said cheerfully. This is the end. The two bandits exclaimed as they joined their hands and reeled it back. Combo spell. Wrath of Typhoon. They exclaimed. Wind and water gathered. They then brought their hands forward, sending the devastating combination towards Luck and Latois. The compass mage stepped forward. That is a strong spell, but I can handle it. Compass magic. Hazardous West. She exclaimed as 5 needles appeared and raced towards the spell, but suddenly, the needles maneuvered around the spell and began revolving at different spots, suspending the combination of wind and water midair. What the? Donnie and Bonnie muttered, unable to believe what happened. Go Luck, finish them. Latois exclaimed. All right. Luck cheered as he jumped into the air. He put his hands close to each other, creating a small orb. He then spread his hands out, making the orb grow before it floated a few inches above him. Prepare for the true end. Thanks a lot for the fight. Lightning magic. Electric conquest. At the declaration of the spell, Luck did a vertical spin midair, hitting the orb he created with the heel of his boot, sending it right towards the bandits. As the orb landed, a bright light flashed, cutting through the darkness around them for just a few moments before the light faded. Luck and Latois saw the two unconscious, their spell disappearing. We did it. That was so much fun. Luck cheered as his armor disappeared. He then ran to Latois, his hand raised. High five. The compass mage wasted no time returning it. We won. Now we can take these two in, she said as she walked to the bandits. Compass binding magic. Confining south. At her call, needles appeared and punctured the bandits' arms and legs. This spell will paralyze whatever limb the needle has punctured for as long as it's lodged there. Nice, I'll carry them on my broom, I just hope they're not too heavy, Luck said. Latois nodded. And I got the wagon full of items. Compass magic. Hazardous West, she said as the needles revolved around the wagon, suspending it into the air. Luck put the two onto his broom as the two magic knights flew into the air. Let's drop these and the bandits at the capital, Latois said. All right, Luck answered as they did just that. Once they finished their job in the capital, they flew back into the air, arriving back at the Black Bull's HQ. Well, this is where we part ways. I'm glad we got to work together again, Latois said. Same here, Luck said back as he began walking to the front gate, but stopped. Something wrong? Latois asked. He turned around. A shadow was covering his face. I just want to do something quick, he said as he walked to the compass mage and embraced her. Luck? She asked, confused by his action. Her mind went back to what Vanessa told her earlier, but she removed the thought from her head as she returned the embrace. I don't know what this is about, but, she began before feeling a zap on her back. Ow. Luck giggled as he let go of her and backed up. His signature smile was present. Gotcha. That was oddly easy. Much easier than it would be with Magna. You should see the look on your face. What a child. How am I younger than you? Latois said to him. We'll never know. CYA, Luck said as he entered the base. I'm back, everyone. From outside, Latois could hear the lightning mage being bombarded with questions from his squadmates. She turned around and mounted her broom. He can be such a child, but I guess I don't really mind that, she said with a small smile as she flew into the air, in the direction of her base. Chapter 17. Visiting home. I wonder if there's anything I can really find in here, Kenos muttered to himself. It had been 2 days since Luck and Latois went on their mission. Vanessa was still asking the lightning mage if anything interesting happened, but he kept shaking his head. The Black Bulls had all gathered in the main hall to enjoy breakfast. As for the solar mage, he sat on a chair a good distance from the others, reading through his grimoire, trying to find if there was anything special within the pages. There are my spells, and then there are blank pages. Is there nothing here I can find that will tell me about the fifth leaf? He muttered again, closing his grimoire and groaning. He had checked 3 times, but still no luck. Hey Kenos, Luck said, running over to him. Why the long face? The others turned to look at Kenos as he replied to his squadmate's question. I'm trying to find out more about the fifth leaf on my grimoire. I thought there might be something in the pages that could give me a lead, but for now, I've gotten no luck. The solar mage stood up and turned around, but backed up quickly as he saw someone in front of him. Ah, he exclaimed with surprise before putting his hand on his chest. Oh, it's just you, Gordon, you scared me there. The mysterious mage began muttering words, causing everyone to sweat drop. I can't hear you, can you maybe speak up? Kenos asked with some reluctance at the end. Ever since he had joined the Black Bulls, Gordon and Gray had been the only mages he hadn't ever spoken to. They didn't seem like talkers, with Gordon's silent words, and Gray's mysteriousness. Gordon took out a piece of paper and an ink pen before he started writing something. He then revealed the slip of paper to his squadmates. Kenos walked up and bent down a bit to look at what was written. Kenos, you sound like you're having trouble. Is there anything I can do to help? He read aloud before standing straight. Thank you very much, but sadly there isn't. I'm not even sure where to begin, sorry. Gordon wrote something else and Kenos read it once again. That's all right. Just know I'll be here. I'll always do my best to help my dearest friends. The solar mage was quite surprised. He hadn't expected the mute mage to think of them all in such a way. So, you have no leads whatsoever on your leaf? Noel asked. No, there are no leads in my grimoire, but I do have a lead, or rather, had made a discovery, back when we were at the capital, Kenos replied with a slightly serious tone. A discovery? What did you find out? Finral asked. Why don't you ask Asta? Kenos asked back. Everyone turned to the swordsman. Asta pointed to himself. Me? What do I have to do with this? He asked. The solar mage pointed at him. Because Asta, your grimoire also has 5 leaves. Huh, that thought went through everyone's heads. It had taken a little for what Kenos said to sink in, but once it did, their eyes widened. What? Yami got up from his seat and walked over to Asta, grabbing his head with one hand and lifting him into the air. So kid, we were all here wondering what that leaf of his meant, and here you were with one all along. When exactly were you planning on telling us? Ah, that hurts, put me down. Asta exclaimed. Don't feel like it, the captain replied as an intimidating aura surrounded him. I didn't know my grimoire had 5 leaves. If I knew, don't you think I would have told you? The swordsman exclaimed. Yami immediately let him go as he dropped to the floor. Oh yeah, you're not smart enough to keep secrets from us, he said as he walked back to the couch. Asta quickly got up. That's right, wait, not smart enough, I'm smart. He exclaimed as he took out his grimoire. How come I've never noticed? It's not the easiest thing to see, your grimoire looks kind of old and beat up, Kenos told him. Asta looked closely at the magical book as his eyes widened. It's true, he exclaimed before walking to Kenos and looking at his grimoire. But wait, the leaves on mine are black, but the ones on yours are white, why is that? The black-haired mage shrugged. I don't know, all that I know is that this mystery is now ours to solve, together, he said as the two smiled and fist bumped. Suddenly, a portal formed above the dining table, and a letter came out through it and landed on the table. A letter, I wonder where it's from, Yami said as he got up and walked to the table, picking up the letter and reading its contents. Hey Kenos, it's for you, from Julius. The Wizard King, what does he want with you? Asta wondered aloud. I don't know, but I guess I'll just have to see when I get there, Kenos replied. I'll make you a portal. Here, Finral said, tossing a contraption to the solar mage. It's a communication device. Once you're done with whatever you have to do at the capital, you can contact me and I can make another portal. Alright, thanks Finral, Kenos said as the spatial mage formed a portal, the young mage walking through it, arriving in front of Magic Knight headquarters before the portal closed behind him. Okay, Julius, let's find out what you need, Kenos said to himself as he walked into the building, and began navigating his way to the Wizard King's office. As he crossed through a hallway, he could see a man coming from the other side. It didn't take long for the two to notice each other. The man was the first to speak. Hey there, Kenos. Hello, Marks. It's been some time since we've seen each other face to face. You weren't at the merit confirmation ceremony, Kenos greeted the Wizard King's assistant. Yeah, there was something Julius wanted me to take care of, Marks said. So how is life with the Black Bulls? I never really got to ask you. It's great. They're all such great and interesting people, even though they can get kinda wild sometimes, he replied. I've really enjoyed my time there. I see, the assistant said again. So, what brings you here to headquarters? I got a letter that Julius wanted to see me, Kenos replied. As that's so, Marks wondered aloud. He must need you for something. Hopefully, it doesn't involve you leaving. I have something to do, and Julius hasn't gone on one of his trips around the kingdom lately. Suspicious. He hasn't. That is suspicious. With all the trips he goes on, I'm surprised he can get anything done, the Solar Mage said as the two laughed. Well, I should be off. CYA around, Marks said as he walked by him. Same to you, Kenos said back as he too kept walking until he reached the door of Julius's office. He knocked. Come in, Julius said from the other side as Kenos came in. Kenos, you got my letter. I'm glad you're here, he said from his seat with a smile, beckoning Kenos to a chair across from him. Kenos nodded as he walked and sat down. No problem, so what do you need? The Wizard King's smile quickly disappeared. It's about the Eye of the Midnight Sun. At the mention of that name, Kenos' eyes became serious. Is there anything you've found out about them? He asked just as seriously. Julius shook his head. Not at the moment. We were able to capture one, a mage by the name of Catherine, but she hasn't told us anything, he replied as he took out a letter with the kingdom's seal. I've just finished writing down all the info we have about them, their attack on the capital, and about the magic stones Asta and I found at their hideaway before they got away. Whatever they're planning, they need the magic stones, which explains why they targeted Fugolon. Kenos clenched his fist. So what's our response to it? Simple. We have to find the remaining magic stones before they do, he replied. I have some work to do, so I called you here to deliver this letter to a noble house. They're going to help us locate the other magic stones. Kenos nodded. Okay then, what family is it? Julius's expression lightened as he grinned. You should know the place well, it's the Rossiu household. The serious atmosphere vanished in an instant as the Time Mage spoke those words, however, there was an anxious feeling in the Solar Mage's stomach. You want me to bring this to the Rossiu household? He asked reluctantly. Yes, more specifically, your parents. It's one of the reasons I decided to have you deliver the letter. I bet you've missed being at your house and seeing your mother and father, Julius replied. Kenos bit the inside of his lip as he took the letter. Damn, Julius doesn't know about our falling out. It's always existed between me along with Dante and Oksana, but now with the rumor going around about the squad I joined, things will be tense with mother and father, he thought to himself. Thank you. You're welcome, Julius said as he stood up from his seat and began walking to the door, giving a big grin. With that out of the way, I have some business to attend to. If you see Marks, tell him I went to my bedroom. Yes, he said as he was about to open the door, but jumped back as a hand stuck out from it. The hand grabbed the door and opened it, revealing Marks, a suspicious look on his face. Julius began sweating as he closed his eyes and gave a guilty smile. Hello, Marks. I thought you were taking care of something. I was just heading to my room. Marks raised a brow. You can't fool me, Julius. I've heard that before. You're not leaving. And as for what I got, he began as he walked a short distance away from them and picked something up. As he came back into view, he was carrying a large stack of papers. I got these. You have paperwork to do. Damn it, the Wizard King groaned with a slump. Don't worry, I'll do them with you, he told him. Julius breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks, Marks. What would I do without you? Nothing at all, Marks and Kenos replied in unison as Julius' sweat dropped. Kenos looked at the letter before turning to the two. Hey Julius, is it possible for me to bring some other people with me? Of course, I don't mind, as long as they're magic knights. I don't want information on the magic stones known to the public just yet. For the first time since he arrived in the office, the Solar Mage smiled. Nice, and I know exactly who to bring. Wow, this place is awesome. In front of the Rossiu household, stood Kenos and two other magic knights. The Solar Mage had chosen to bring Asta and Zuka with him. After returning to the hideout, he told the other Black Bulls about his task and asked Asta to come with him. After doing so, the two flew over to Aqua Deer HQ to ask Rill if Zuka could join him, and he accepted. So this is where you live, Kenos. It's massive, Zuka said in awe. She had never seen such a large house before. And it's pretty close to the capital. I know, you're so lucky, Asta added with his signature starry eyes, agreeing with the Sparkle Mage. It's not all that, Kenos said back. Not a bad idea. Kenos, by bringing these two here, you kill two birds with one stone. As well as letting them see my house and getting to know where I grew up. If I bring these two with me while talking to my parents, it should lighten the atmosphere and prevent them from mentioning a family matter in front of two guests, he thought to himself. Zuka patted him on the back. Oh Kenos, you're so humble, but I wouldn't mind if you bragged a bit about living here, I know I would. I was born here, there isn't really much to brag about, Kenos said back. Let's go in. The three walked into the household. A good amount of the frontal area was the courtyard, combining parts with the house with a majority of the outside, creating large patches of grass around with the halls providing shade. Wow, this place is even more impressive on the inside, Asta mused before seeing someone in the distance. Hello there. Good morning. Kenos looked over to who Asta was calling to. It was an elderly whose gray hair was wrapped in a bun. She was of a medium height, wearing a solid black outfit that a maid would wear, and the lady had a broom in her hand. She looked up at Asta's call. She was initially surprised, but her surprise left her once she saw Kenos next to him. The solar mage's eyes widened. Eleanor, he exclaimed, running to the lady, embracing her in a tight hug. It's good to see you, young Sir Kenos. Have you gotten taller? She asked with a giggle. Asta and Zuka caught up with him. Kenos, who's she? The sparkle mage asked. This is Eleanor, the head maid of our estate, Kenos introduced her. She was the one who cared for me, Dante, Oksana, and the other young Rossius here, even during infancy. That's right, I especially remember the times when I had to change your diaper, and you would always run around your room naked, Eleanor reminisced. Asta and Zuka held their mouths, trying not to laugh. Kenos' face turned beet red with embarrassment. Eleanor, I thought you said you would never tell anyone. The maid giggled again. My apologies, it was just that you were always so cute when you did that. She then turned to Asta and Zuka. And who are these two? These two are Asta and Zuka Glatenia, fellow magic knights and good friends of mine, Kenos replied, introducing the two as he placed his hand on their shoulder one at a time. Friends, you say? Well, it's very nice to meet you. Kenos was always good at making friends, but this is the first time he has ever brought friends to his home. You two must mean a lot to him, Eleanor said. Asta and Zuka looked initially surprised before giving a warm smile. Kenos. So young sir, what brings you here? Were you feeling homesick? Did your captain permit you to come here? Eleanor asked. I've heard a lot of things about Yami Sukahiro, but if he let you come here, he must be a very kind man. Yes, he is. All of the Black Bulls have welcomed me into their squad, but I'm here under the Wizard King's orders, he replied. Julius sent you. Then it must be serious. What does he want you to do? The head maid asked. He wants me to give a letter to my mother and father, Kenos answered. Sir Richard and Lady Ellen, I haven't seen them today, but I bet they're in their office. Should I take you there? Just in case you forgot, Eleanor said. Kenos laughed. You know I'd never forget where my parents do all their work, but I would appreciate it anyway, he replied as the three began following her. The solar mage took a deep breath. Okay, this is it, we're going to mother and father's office. Calm down, the plan should work. I give them the letter. With Zuka and Asta with me, they shouldn't bring up anything and I'll be able to leave without answering any of their questions. Just then, as they were walking, a figure passed by them from another hallway. Kenos quickly scanned them. It was a boy with tan skin who was pretty tall, a bit taller than Dante. He had messy navy blue hair, wearing a light blue collared shirt with black pants. By his left side was a satchel with his grimoire inside. The boy turned sideways and saw the group, more specifically, one person. Kenos. The nervous feeling Kenos had disappeared when he saw the boy. A big smile appeared on his face. Vase. He exclaimed happily, running up to the boy as they high-fived. It's good to see you again, Kenos, the boy called Vase said back. Another new face, Asta said as they all joined up with him. So who's this? Kenos turned around. This is Sylvester Rossiu, my cousin, but I just call him Vase, he introduced. And Vase, this is Asta, and Zuka Glatenia. It's nice to meet you too. I hope Kenos hasn't been a bother to you, Sylvester said. He hasn't been a bother at all. In fact, quite the opposite, Zuka responded. And it's all thanks to Vase right here. When I was growing up here, I usually hung out with him while Dante and Oksana did their thing. Vase here is my role model. I've looked up to him ever since I was a kid, Kenos said proudly. Kens, you give me too much credit. I'm turning 20 in 7 months. You're not that much younger than me. There's no way I could be so influential in how you grew up, Sylvester said in an attempt to deny the praise being sent his way. Kenos, on the other hand, placed his hand on his shoulder. See, he's so humble, that's where I got it from, he said. Asta and Zuka heard what he said, but something else was on their minds. Kens, they asked together. The solar mage perked up. Yeah, that's the nickname Vase gave me. I see, you two seem really close, Zuka said, but in her and Asta's mind, they were happy. with what Kenos told them about his falling out with Dante and Oksana. It was good to know he grew up with someone he could look up to, someone who apparently made him the person he is today. And there's more. Show them vase, Kenos said. All right then, Sylvester said back as he took out his grimoire. Check this out. Kenos excitedly waved to Asta and Zuka to come closer. The two did so and looked at Sylvester's grimoire. It was black with intricate yellow lines and a large circle in the center, but it was what was inside that circle that made their eyes widen. A four-leaf clover grimoire. Asta exclaimed, thinking back to That kind of grimoire is rare, Zuka added. Sylvester chuckled. I know, when I first got it, there was such a big light show and everything, a lot of people were staring at me and congratulating me, but by far the most excited with Ken's when I showed it to him. He was just about 12 when it happened, he even told me he was going to get one too. But I didn't, I got a 5-leaf grimoire, Kenos said. Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I saw it, I've never even heard of something like that let alone know what it means, Sylvester stated before turning to his cousin. Have you found anything about it so far? Kenos shook his head. Nothing, but I make a relevant discovery, Asta. The swordsman took out his own grimoire and showed it to Sylvester. I have a 5-leaf clover grimoire too. Sylvester had trouble seeing it, so he looked closer and found it. There it is, but it's black while the one Kenos has are white. We know, we're trying to figure out what they represent, as well as why there's a difference between ours, Kenos explained. Not a bad place to start, Sylvester said before something came to his head. That reminds me, what are you doing here, did you come to visit? Nope, the Wizard King gave Kenos a letter to give his parents and were accompanying him, Zuka replied. It's from Julius, what did he write? The mage asked again. Sorry, Julius said I couldn't tell people about it, Kenos replied this time. What are you talking about? You told us that you couldn't tell people, but you could tell Magic Knights. Sylvester must be here visiting home before he goes back to his squad, Asta said. Say, Sylvester, what squad are you in? Sylvester nervously scratched his head. Well, I'm not in a squad. Asta's eyes widened. Not in a squad. Does that mean you failed the exam almost 5 times? Seeing the swordsman exclaim so hysterically made Sylvester chuckle. No, I didn't fail 5 times, I never tried in the first place, you see, I don't really want to be a magic knight. Not a magic knight, but you have a 4-leaf clover grimoire, something most experienced mages could only dream of, don't you think it's almost, well, a waste? Zuka asked. Not at all, being a magic knight isn't the only way to serve the kingdom, I like helping others, but not in the way magic knights do it, Sylvester replied. That and he usually helps me with work around the estate, Eleanor spoke up. No problem Eleanor. After all, you did care for me when I was little, Sylvester said. I assume you didn't run around naked like Kenos, did you? Zuka asked with a smirk as the solar mage went red again. Sylvester tried hard to not laugh. Eleanor told you, didn't she? Well, I'm pleased to inform you Kenos was the only one. Vase. Kenos exclaimed. My bad Kens, we should head to Uncle Richard and Aunt Ellen's office now to give them the letter, Sylvester said as he stopped laughing. About that, I was hoping that maybe I could show my friends around the estate before seeing my parents, as this is their first time here and I have all day to give the letter to them, Kenos said, but inside, he was still anxious about meeting with his parents and tried to use whatever he could to delay it. You have a point, follow me, I'll lead the tour, Sylvester said, leading the group all throughout the household, only adding on to Asta and Zuka's prior adoration of the place. Eventually, they made it to the last place of the tour. Here we are, the last part, Kenos' room, Sylvester explained. I wonder what your room looks like, Asta wondered aloud as they opened the door and walked inside. They were taken aback over how large it was, but oddly enough, when it came to decor, it was simple as the room was large. I kind of expected the place to look more, well, extravagant, Zuka said as she walked to his window. But regardless, this view is amazing. Asta walked to the edge of the room to find a line of fancy shoes, he then walked to Kenos' closet and opened it, seeing an array of fancy clothes. You have so many fancy things to put on, but you wear those simple clothes every day. Well, why not? These clothes are a lot more comfortable, orange is my favorite color, and besides, just because I have fancier stuff doesn't mean I have to wear it, I'm not one who likes to flaunt what I have, Kenos replied. You really are humble, Sylvester said. And it's not from me. I refuse to believe such a thing Vase, the solar mage said back. Whatever, the older Rossiu said with folded arms. Hey Sylvester, can you do me a favor? Asta asked. Sure, I guess, what exactly do you want? Sylvester asked back. Please spar with me, the magicless mage exclaimed. Huh, you said you don't want to be a magic knight, but I still want to see how strong you are, so fight me. Okay then, You seem serious about this. Let's head to the courtyard. We can spar there, Sylvester said as he led them to the courtyard. He and Asta stood on the large patch of grass while Kenos, Zuka, and Eleanor stood in the shade. Asta took out his swords. I want you to give it everything you got. So those are the anti-magic swords I've heard about. Neat, Sylvester said as his grimoire came up to him, surrounded in a navy blue aura. But let's see how you fight before I decide to go in full power, or if you can survive my wyvern spell. Alright then, are you two ready? Kenos asked. We are, they replied. Okay then, begin. Let's do this. Lunar creation magic. Moonlight armaments. Sylvester exclaimed as his chest, elbow, and shins became covered in a glowing blue armor. By his right leg were 3 glowing sheathed daggers, the same was seen on the left leg, and in his hand was a glowing sword. What the? Zuka said in awe. The Moonlight Armaments is a spell which gives Vay's armor, as well as his desired choice of close-range weaponry, which are usually swords and daggers. It's his most basic spell, Eleanor told her. Sylvester is an expert when it comes to close-range offense and long-range defense. It's actually in homage to him that I made the solar constructs, Kenos added. Here I go. Asta exclaimed as he ran towards the lunar mage. He jumped in the air, ready to strike with both swords. Not a bad approach, Sylvester said as he raised his sword above him to block the attack, and while it did succeed, soon after making contact with Asta's swords, the lunar blade vanished. Shit, his swords cancelled out my sword, he thought as he did a backflip to make distance between them before creating another sword. It seems I'm going to need to approach this fight differently. This won't be easy for Vay's. He may be the more experienced one since both him and Asta are melee fighters, but with Asta's anti-magic swords, it puts Vay's at a disadvantage as well as limiting his offensive options, Kenos noted. Sylvester began running towards Asta, his sword ready to strike. Asta began running too. Let's see this new approach of yours, Sylvester. The two swordsmen were about to clash once more, but then, Sylvester put a foot forward and quickly spun around, appearing behind Asta. The lunar mage readied his blade. You wanted to see my approach, so be it. He exclaimed. An impressive strategy, young Sir Sylvester. Since Asta can nullify his sword whenever they clash, Sylvester must attack wherever the swords cannot reach quickly, like his back, Eleanor noted this time. Luckily for Asta however, Sylvester's sudden spin made the magicless mage stumble, just barely evading the attack. Wow, that was awesome, I was lucky to get away without any scratches, Asta said. True, but let's see how long that fact will remain true. Sylvester exclaimed as he charged forward, his grimoire flipping to a new page. Lunar magic. Crescent bladadance. He exclaimed as the daggers by his legs shot out, revealing their crescent-shaped blade as they raced towards Asta. What in the? Asta muttered as he tried to use his swords to nullify the daggers, but right before they were about to strike, they missed, going back into the air before coming right back at the swordsman. How do you like my spell? Sylvester exclaimed as he charged forward. Crescent bladadance is a spell I can only use with the daggers my armaments provide. They aren't a typical type of attack that just goes straight for the opponent. True to their name, they're like dancers. Normally I'd couple it with my blade for a close range advantage, but I think we already know most of my conventional attacks won't be effective against you. Your cousin is really impressive, Kenos. Imagine the good he could have done for the kingdom if he decided to be a magic knight, Zuka said. Vay's made his choice. He's free to do as he wishes, and he's right. Being a magic knight isn't the only way to majorly help the kingdom, Kenos countered. This spell is impressive, but I'm not giving up. Asta exclaimed as he continued trying to stop the daggers. I like your spirit, but, Sylvester began as he closed in on Asta, raising his sword to strike. Asta noticed this and prepared to strike back, but suddenly, Sylvester quickly dropped to the ground, skillfully swiping his leg under Asta's feet, sending the magicless mage to the ground. As Asta looked up, he saw the lunar mage pointed his blade just inches away from his face. This fight is over, he finished as he helped Asta up. The two put their grimoires away and shook hands. Asta breathed heavily. Damn, you're good, it seems I'm not strong enough to go against your full power, you were holding back. True, but that fight gave me quite the struggle at first. You're not bad yourself, Sylvester said in praise of the swordsman's effort. Thanks, but I still want to know, how strong are you when you're not holding back? Asta asked. Not a bad question. I suppose I can give you an answer, Sylvester said before turning to the head maid. Eleanor, can you give me a hand? All right, young sir, she said back as she raised one of her hands up. Suddenly, the ground began shaking as a thick, large slab of stone appeared. Wow, Eleanor, you use earth magic? Zuka asked as she nodded. The sparkle mage then briefly remembered the last person she had met with that attribute, Benjo the bandit. It's been some time, I wonder how the people at Realzu village are doing. Sylvester walked to the slab, taking out his grimoire and casting his moonlight armament spell. Crescent bladadance is a spell that utilizes my daggers, but then there's one which uses my sword, behold. You two better get ready for this, Kenos said. The lunar mage lunged forward and bent his upper body down a bit more. He held his sword at his side as if he was sheathing it. Prepare to be amazed. Lunar magic. Striking moongazer. He exclaimed as he drew his blade while dashing forward with blinding speed. In what seemed like the time it would take to blink halfway, Sylvester was already on the other side of the slab. The thick and large piece of rock, however, was cut cleanly in half as the top half dropped to the ground with a thud. Asta and Zuka's eyes twitched. I didn't even see him move, the sparkle mage said. I know, he really was holding back against me, Asta added. Sylvester put his grimoire back into his satchel as he walked over to them. Thank you, Eleanor, he said before turning to Asta. That's what happens when I try harder than usual, and that wasn't even my wyvern spell. Asta came to the same consensus as his rival did back at the capital. You Rossius really are no joke, he said. But I have a question. Zuka spoke up. You use lunar magic, which is similar to Kenos, solar magic, despite the fact that nobody in the family possesses a remotely similar attribute, so does that mean there was something wrong with you too? No, while we aren't sure where Ken's attribute spawned from, my lunar magic came from my mother, who uses night magic, Sylvester replied. As Sylvester finished explaining, footsteps were heard behind the group. They turned to see who it was and widened their eyes. Dante and Oksana, Kenos muttered. Hello Eleanor, the siblings greeted the head maid. It's good to see you two again, young Sir Dante, young Lady Oksana, Eleanor said back to them. Hey, it's Asta, Oksana said in her giddy voice. She then turned to Zuka. And, I'm sorry, what's your name? I don't think we've ever been formally introduced. Oh, my name's Zuka Glatenia, she replied. The phantom mage rushed over to her. Zuka, that's such a cool name, and you have such pretty hair. Thanks, I like yours too, the sparkle mage said back. Dante walked over to his cousin. Hello, Sylvester. The two high-fived. Hey Dante, how have the Silver Eagles been treating you? I heard about your promotion, nice work. Thanks a lot, I'm already rising up in the ranks, all before I turn 20 next year, the steel mage said stoically. You know, it wouldn't hurt to grin a little bit sometimes, the lunar mage told him. Dante showed a small smile. Is this enough for you? Perfect, he replied with a thumbs up. Both Dante and Oksana then turned to face Kenos. Hello, they said indifferently. Hello, what are you two doing here? Kenos asked back with the same tone they were. We had a day off at our squads, so our captains permitted us to go visit our families, Dante replied. And you? Julius sent me here to give a letter to mother and father, the solar mage replied. I see, we were about to see them as well. Let's go together. I bet they would like to meet Asta and Zuka too, Dante insisted. I suppose you're right. Let's go, Kenos said. He knew there was nothing else he could do. Asta and Zuka had a tour of the estate and Sylvester got to spar with Asta. The only thing left to do was deliver the letter. The group of 7 began walking towards the office. During a majority of the walk, not a word was uttered among them. There wasn't much to say in the first place, however, but that silence was broken as a person spoke up. Hey, Kenos, Oksana said. The phantom mage was walking in front of him, so he couldn't see her facial expression, but regardless, he was taken aback by the mere tone of her voice. It wasn't giddy, or nonchalant. It felt sad. Yeah, the solar mage replied. Back when we were at the capital, when a majority of magic knights were teleported away, and Captain Fugolian was injured badly, well, Noel told me that you were also responsible for keeping him alive. Actually, you were crucial in keeping him alive until help arrived, she explained. Kenos nodded. That's true, what of it? Oksana sighed. Look, I know we haven't seen face to face for a majority of our lives, but regardless, he's my captain. I look up to him, and it's because of you we know he still has a chance to live, so thank you, very much. Kenos was shocked. Oksana, he muttered. It was the first time his sister really spoke to him on an emotional level. For the first time, it felt like she was grateful to him. It gave him a feeling he had never experienced before, but whatever it was, it felt good. We both don't get along with our siblings, but with me, we were able to get closer and I feel they dislike me just a little less. You seem like a great guy. I know one day it'll be the same for you too. Eon's words recited in the solar mage's head. You're welcome, he said as Sylvester spoke up. What happened in the capital? He asked curiously. Oksana gave her usual giddy smile. It's nothing, just some magic night business, not like you would be interested in it, Sylvester. Whatever, the lunar mage said to his cousin before Eleanor spoke up this time. Okay, we're here, she said. Kenos was so distracted by what Oksana said, he didn't notice the decent-sized door which marked the entrance of his parents' office. This is where I must bid you goodbye. There's still a lot of things to do today. It was nice meeting you again, Asta and Zuka. I'll come with you, Eleanor, Sylvester added, following the maid back down where they came from. Nice meeting you, Asta and Zuka, take care. Bye Eleanor, Sylvester, Asta and Zuka said back. Alright then, let's head inside, Dante said as he opened the door and they all walked in. Immediately as they did, they saw two people sitting down looking at papers. One was a man who had short brown hair. He wore a beige suit and black glasses. The second one was a woman with long blonde hair. She wore a bright green dress, and there was a writing utensil resting on her left ear. They looked up and saw two of their children. Dante, Oksana, what a pleasant surprise. You didn't tell us you were visiting, the woman said. Oksana had a big grin on her face. That's right, surprise, hi mom. She cheered as she ran and embraced her mother. Her mother lightly scratched her daughter's head. It's good to see you. You've already grown into a beautiful young lady, and now you're a magic knight of a prestigious squad. I'm so proud. Greetings, father. Dante walked up to his dad as they shook hands. All has gone well at my squad. His father nodded approvingly. I'm proud of you, my son. You may have inherited your mother's attribute instead of my phantom attribute, but I couldn't be any happier than I am now, especially since I heard about your promotion. Only 2 weeks after joining, we will have a feast to celebrate. Wow, those two seem really nice. This family is all right in my book, Zuka said as Asta nodded. The mother noticed the two other magic knights. Oh, hello, it seems we have 2 more guests. The father spoke up. Greetings you two. I am Richard Rossiu, and this is my wife, Ellen Rossiu, he introduced. It's nice to meet you. I am Zuka Glatenia, and this is Asta, the Sparkle Mage said. Ellen turned to her eldest son. These two seem very respectful. Did they come with you and Oksana? No, we actually came with, Asta began as he turned to where Kenos was, just to find him not there, but it didn't take either him or Zuka long to figure out the Solar Mage was right behind them. In unison, the Black Bull and the Aqua Deer slowly took a step in the opposite direction, revealing the person behind them. Richard and Ellen's eyes tensed when they saw who it was. Kenos looked nervously at his parents. Hello, mother, father. Kenos, they said. This is it, just hand over the letter and leave. They won't ask anything personal with Asta and Zuka here, he thought. It's been some time. How have you two been? Just fine, and you, how have you been? Ellen asked as a smile creased her face. Kenos wasn't sure whether the smile was real or fake in order to lighten the obvious tension in the atmosphere. I've been fine, nothing bad has happened to me yet. I see, so, did you come to visit us as well? Richard asked in a bit more serious tone than his wife did. Not exactly. Julius wanted me to deliver a letter to you, a letter regarding something very important, Kenos said as he walked to his father and gave him the letter. Richard opened it and read its contents. A slightly distressed look came to his face. The Eye of the Midnight Sun. They sound dangerous, and Julius wants us to help locate these magic stones. It'll take some time, but it can be done. I'll send him a letter later today, he said. Kenos gave a small smile, glad that the worst-case scenario did not come to pass. Well, I should be off. It was nice seeing you. Good. Wait, Richard interrupted as Kenos neared the exit. There's something I want to ask you. A drop of sweat fell down Kenos' face at the sound of those words. He was worried. And what question is that? He asked, hoping he was wrong. He wasn't. Tell me, why? Did you join the Black Bulls? That question seemed to loom around the room. Not a person there was surprised by it, as the banquet back at the capital gave Asta and Zuka the context to know what he meant by it. Why? Kenos repeated. Yes, his father replied. Your mother and I have heard rumors that you joined the Black Bulls despite having the chance to join your brother or your sister's squad. Dante, Oksana, and I haven't seen eye to eye in years, you know that, Kenos replied. And what did I already tell you? Our personal disagreements should never be at the cost of our reputation, Richard fired back. I know, but I don't mind being part of the Black Bulls. It was initially just an escape from Dante and Oksana, but I've come to enjoy the people there, Kenos argued. You think that's important? I don't have a single doubt that the Black Bulls can be decent people. Look at Asta. He's been here this entire time and has neither said nor done anything repulsive, but they're not the worst squad for nothing. No offense, but their achievements aren't so great compared to other squads, Richard countered. Then what if we make it great? They can become a prestigious squad just like the others. They just need members like me, like us, Kenos said. It doesn't just work that way. They've been where they are since the beginning. Things can't just change because of 1 or 2 new members. You joining their squad hasn't done much in the long run in the terms of good. However, in the terms of bad, you managed to tarnish our family name in just a day. Do you know how fast these rumors have circulated? It hasn't even been a month yet, his father said. Why does reputation matter so much that it should be put over my happiness? I wouldn't feel happy with them. I may be their brother, but I just wouldn't. Kenos asked. Why does reputation matter so much? We are the Rossiu house, the noble family closest to the Wizard King himself, his dear friends, a family he can rely on. A family almost anyone in this kingdom can rely on. What's a noble house without a good reputation? I'll tell you what it is, it's a disgrace, and we are not a disgrace. Richard exclaimed. Keno's sighed. What's the point? It's obvious we don't see eye to eye either. Richard crossed his arms. I think that's something we can both agree on, he said. But I'm disappointed in you. I think I knew that already, Keno's mumbled. You joined the Black Bulls, effectively jeopardizing the reputation of the Rossiu house, and it looks like you don't even care, Richard continued. It makes me wonder. Everyone looked at him, waiting to see what he would say. If you really are my son. Not an eye in that room stayed as it was. On the faces of every other person was of complete shock. Everyone knew the sensitivity of that topic. Richard, Ellen exclaimed as she turned to her youngest son. Keno's looked devastated, as well as shocked. His face showed utter sadness. He then put his head down as a shadow covered his eyes from view. He then walked to the exit and opened the door. What the hell did you just say? You're his father. Zuka exclaimed angrily. What father says that to their child, you son of a? Zuka. The Sparkle Mage turned at the sound of Keno's voice. It was quiet and emotionless. Don't. What do you mean? Did you hear what he said to you? I can't let him get away with that. The Sparkle Mage exclaimed back. She's right. We won't stand for it. Asta joined in. Please, don't do anything. Let's just go, he said with the same tone and volume as before. Zuka and Asta sighed. Fine, they said as the two of them walked out of the room, leaving only Rossius present. Keno's didn't say a word as he walked out. Dante and Oksana couldn't help but feel bad for their younger brother. No matter how they saw each other, they were still family. The Steel Mage spoke up. Father, you know how sensitive Keno's is when it comes to his birth. Those words weren't wise. Richard merely removed his glasses and rubbed his eyes before putting them back on. I have work to do. We might have to postpone our celebratory feast for some other time. Dante and Oksana merely looked at each other before they left the room as well. Ellen wasn't sure of what to say to her husband to solve the problem caused between father and son. Who does he think he is, saying that to his own kid? Zuka exclaimed as she and Asta walked down the hallway. Did I say that family's good in my book? Well, if I did, screw it, that father is so not good in my book anymore. Damn right, I say we barge back in there and make him apologize. Asta added. That's a good plan if I've ever heard one. The Sparkle Mage agreed as they turned around and saw Keno slowly walking towards them, the shadow still covering his eyes. You too, don't do anything to him. He's still my father, even if he might not think the same way about me, the Solar Mage told them. You can't let him say that about you. You're not the product of an affair. You're a Rossiu, and our friend. Zuka said as she and Asta walked over to Keno's to comfort him, but as they got close enough, their eyes slightly widened. On the Solar Mage's face was a sight they never thought they'd see. A tear fell down the side of his face.